Thursday, almost the weekend, and we're very delighted to be here. Thank you for joining us on Breakfast Central. A bright, beautiful morning, and we hope that your morning's already off to a good start. I am Olive Emodi.
And I'm Benga Borough. It's good to be here on Breakfast Central, the best place to start your day, where we bring you insightful conversations, fantastic analysis, everything you need to know about the news cycle. We bring the top analysts and also the front page of the newspaper. There's more I could say, but I mean, if you're just watching us for the first time, just watch and experience it yourself. Don't let me let the cat or the rat out of the bag.
I was expecting that you would add that your last line that you usually say.
What is it?
It starts with "you will," you know.
You will love it.
Now I'm mature. Can't you see what I'm wearing?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, sir. Welcome to Breakfast Central. Like Olive said, it's Thursday. Like Benga said, it's going to be a bumper-packed 3 hours of non-stop conversation surrounding news and current affairs. Plus, we also delve into the societal stories, just like we're about to do with Wake Up Conversations. And we're telling you to join us. Give us 3 hours of your time. And you can decide to do it for 24 hours, by the way, because News Central is that addictive.
Yeah.
Once you start watching, you'll be shocked at the variety of programmings that we have, you know, that will keep you glued to your TV set. But while you're doing that, increase the volume. If you need to quickly fix a cup of tea or coffee, take care of the children, for those who have kids at home during this holiday period, sweep the living room or something, just keep listening to us. That's all I have to say.
Yeah,
pretty much.
so.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. Today is one of those days I'm excited. It's almost the weekend. I'm excited. It's almost the weekend.
I know that song. That's part of ranking.
Yeah, that one is already the weekend.
Okay.
This one is
Almost weekend.
Oliver
Okay, that's your
Emodi.
Why are you rushing though?
Yes,
Aren't you
because-
happy to discuss with our?
I'm happy to discuss.
I always
You
feel like I don't know. I know you feel the same way. But I always feel sad.
Yeah,
whenever it's
like
Friday.
when Joe mentioned you'll be here for 3 hours. I kind of had like a heartache. If management is watching, please make Breakfast Central 9 hours straight, no break, because we love you guys. Okay. I see you are not sharing the same passion as
I'm
me
not
and
sharing
Joe.
the same passion with you, please.
Oh my goodness.
Let's not lie to ourselves.
Let's
I'm
speak
not
for
sharing.
ourselves and
Speak for
mention our
yourself.
Sunday.
Exactly. Mention your name.
9 hours straight. I bet you will be the only one presenting.
Only you will present, only you will produce. Okay.
So you guys are lazy.
No.
Wow, you are not that passionate.
Do you remember the statement,
please,
lazy
okay.
Nigerian youths?
This segment, I'm going to cut it and give HR.
Okay.
So that they will know who is who deserve wages or emolument.
Well, hopefully HR will use that too. Just like RMAFC have decided to review the salary of the president, HR can use that to review your salary.
Absolutely.
No wahala.
You guys will just notice, are we not the same uncle? I'll just pull up in a Bentley.
Benga, can we start show?
I'm just imagining the benefit I will get from this thing I just did. That this guy, HR will say, this guy sabi work.
Okay.
He wants 9 hours show.
Okay, congratulations to you and to HR. Let's start with the conversations this morning. We're starting off with an unfortunate story. Unfortunate because it's a story that involves one of Nigeria's most talented young men. He was celebrated while alive, but it feels like the celebration doubled and tripled after his passing. And, you know, they would typically say rest in peace, but ever since Mohbad died, he hasn't quite rested in peace because he's been the subject of arguments as to what led to the death of Mohbad. Many people suspected foul play, and many fingers have been pointed at different persons from Naira Marley and the Malian team, including Sam Larry. And then they've also made accusations pointing fingers at his wife. It's just been a lot of arguments. His father has overnight become a celebrity as well as a result of this saga. A very dark man, Iyabo Ojo, have been in conflict back and forth as to what exactly happened. All the while, Naira Marley never really gave a detailed explanation of his own side of the story. But now he has done that and posted on YouTube on the Malian music page. And here's what his own account is on Mohbad's demise.
So I came back to Nigeria to support the police with the investigation because I can see fingers pointing our ways. I can see that they paid the block. So I want to come back so they can actually know that I have nothing to do with it and chase whoever so he can get justice. So I came back to Nigeria. I was in quarantine for 2 months. 2 months. After I even got out of Panti, I was fighting for my passport. They held my passport for how long? I showed them everything. There was no, like, this is a working country. Okay, it's okay, you can question me, but there's no reason to detain me for 2 months. 2 months for what? No reason. I was not in the country. I haven't seen him for over a year. There's not even nothing to ask him. There's nothing. I showed you everything. I was in Panti for 2 months, but it's okay. There's nothing, bro. I understand. I get it. There's people behind the scene. As you can see, the group chat got leaked. The officer that was in charge of the case in Panti, Mr. Ilara, they mentioned his name to call him. They're talking about George. So they did this is Africa, they did their homework to keep me there for 2 months. I was in Panti for 2 months. Even people pointing fingers at me, that don't mean I should be in Panti for 2 months. So he left.
So on the 29th of March, I am on the flight, 2022. Next day after, he was chilling with Zeno. I am on the flight coming back to Nigeria. As soon as I got back, me and Mohbad met up.
Don't worry now. Don't worry.
Fortunately, we can't play the video because it's on his Malan music page on YouTube. If you want to watch it, it's a 1 hour, 48-minute long video, so we can't play all of it. But there's so many things, key highlights. I mean, when I watched the video, there are a few things that, I was able to draw from the video. First of all would be he denies bullying. He denies bullying or involvement in Mohbad's death. He says, of course, I didn't bully him. If you remember in the video, he says, I didn't bully him and I didn't kill him. There have been reactions to that, people who believe that that's a lie. There are others who say, you know what, we're proud of you for collating all the information that you had regarding this and sharing your own side of the story. He, of course, talked about Mohbad using an illicit substance, talked about how he called him and advised him that he said he got into it because of stress. He then talked about financial transparency. He says Mohbad picked his own manager in July 2020, and Mohbad pushed back on a 25% commission, insisting on a 10% share. He showcased WhatsApp messages disproving claims that Mohbad was afraid to go to the hospital and affirmed that they shared profits 50-50 after Mali covered all expenses. Now, talking about the NDLEA raid and Mohbad's mental health state, that was another key issue that, this brought up. He says he recounts the incident during the February 24, 2022 raid. He said, NDLEA's raid, he said that Mohbad was arrested allegedly because of a physical altercation with officers and live streamed under duress, where he made emotionally charged accusations like, if I die, everybody, Namalia music, Naramali kill me. And following this incident that Mohbad, his parents and girlfriend apologized according to Naira Marley. Then he talked about the suicide attempt and compassion. On March 27, 2022, Mohbad attempted suicide, he said, and if you remember in the clip, he said he was in Puerto Rico at the time, that upon his return, he spoke with Mohbad's parents about the singer's mental state. He took concern about Mohbad's online searches for Sniper, asking, why will you be searching online for Sniper, suggesting that they needed his removal from the label's immediate environment. Then he talked about the financial dispute. Said in December 2022 that Mohbad withdrew $72,000 from a digital service provider partner, funds that Malik claims were not solely his. As a result, royalties were withheld until the repayment occurred, after which Mohbad became unreachable. And his final contact, Mali says that their last meeting was October 4, 2022, during a fight between Mohbad and his manager. And at the time of Mohbad's death, that was September 12, 2023, Mali was in Amsterdam spending time with his children. And he said he expected authorities to detain those closest to Mohbad who were present before his demise. And Mali concluded by saying he criticized the police for detaining him for 2 months in Yaba, Lagos, upon his return to clear his name. He also stated that Malian Music reached out to Mohbad's lawyer to ensure his royalties would go to whoever the family or court designates. And if you remember, he also said something in the line of, if they leave him, he would say that the police should rearrest everybody and they should give the case to an officer that they can trust, an investigating officer that they can trust, so that a proper investigation, a proper investigation can be done in the matter.
Well, one might wonder why we've decided to look at this story here on Wake Up Conversations, and we think it's very key we do. And the reasons are best known. Olive, you've highlighted them in doing a recap of what really happened in that video. Prior to Aziz Fashola, also known as Naira Marley, shooting that documentary, that long documentary, explaining and detailing the accounts of what happened. We know there was cancel culture, where a lot of persons, a cross-section of Nigerians had already cancelled him, his music,
Media trial.
of course, and then yes,
Sam Larry,
exactly.
members of the Malian, who stood
and then
by him.
there's this media trial, like Benga had said, where everybody had said, okay, fine. It seems like majority of Nigerians possibly just accepted to the media trial because of the videos they had seen online, which categorically showed where, of course, the late artist under his record label was being bullied. So adding 1 and 2 together, especially with that video where he had said, if anything happens to me, please hold this record label accountable. And that's the video where he was trying to shoot. He was shooting a musical video, and then he was being bullied and attacked as well by one Samson Balogu, better known as Sam Larry. But why is this very necessary? Well, it's also good that this is documented. That's what he's done. He's documented his own side of the story. He's explained what really took place. And like Olive also rounded it up in the entire conversation, he said he would like for the case to be retried once.
Fortunately, we can't play the video because it's on his Malian music page on YouTube. If you want to watch it, it's a 1 hour, 48-minute long video, so we can't play all of it. But there's so many things, key highlights. I mean, when I watched the video, there are a few things that, I was able to draw from the video. First of all would be he denies bullying. He denies bullying or involvement in Mohbad's death. He says, of course, I didn't bully him. If you remember in the video, he says, I didn't bully him and I didn't kill him. There have been reactions to that, people who believe that that's a lie. There are others who say, you know what, we're proud of you for collating all the information that you had regarding this and sharing your own side of the story. He, of course, talked about Mohbad using, an illicit substance, talked about how he called him and advised him that he said he got into it because of stress. He then talked about financial transparency. He says Mohbad picked his own manager in July 2020, and Mohbad pushed back on a 25% commission, insisting on a 10% share. He showcased WhatsApp messages disproving claims that Mohbad was afraid to go to the hospital and affirmed that they shared profits 50-50 after Mali covered all expenses. Now, talking about the NDLEA raid and Mohbad's mental health state, that was another key issue that, this brought up. He says he recounts the incident during the February 24, 2022 raid. He said, NDLEA's raid, he said that Mohbad was arrested allegedly because of a physical altercation with officers and live streamed under duress, where he made emotionally charged accusations like, if I die, everybody, Naira music, Naira Marley kill me. And following this incident, that Mohbad, his parents and girlfriend apologized according to Naira Marley. Then he talked about the suicide attempt and compassion. On March 27, 2022, Mohbad attempted suicide, he said, and if you remember in the clip, he said he was in Puerto Rico at the time, that upon his return, he spoke with Mohbad's parents about the singer's mental state. He took concern about Mohbad's online searches for Sniper, asking, why will you be searching online for Sniper, suggesting that they needed his removal from, the label's immediate environment. Then he talked about the financial dispute, said in December 2022, that Mohbad withdrew $72,000 from a digital service provider partner, funds that Mali claims were not solely his. As a result, royalties were withheld until the repayment occurred, after which Mohbad became unreachable. And his final contact, Mali says that their last meeting was October 4, 2022, during a fight between Mohbad and his manager. And at the time of Mohbad's death, that was September 12, 2023, Mali was in Amsterdam spending time with his children. And he said he expected authorities to detain those closest to Mohbad who were present before his demise. And Naira Marley concluded by saying he criticized the police for detaining him for 2 months in Yaba, Lagos, upon his return to clear his name. He also stated that Malian Music reached out to Mohbad's lawyer to ensure his royalties would go to whoever the family or court designates. And if you remember, he also said something in the line of, if they leave him, he would say that the police should rearrest everybody and they should give the case to an officer that they can trust, an investigating officer that they can trust, so that, a proper investigation, a proper investigation can be done in the matter.
Well, one might wonder why we've decided to look at this story here on Wake Up Conversations, and we think it's very key we do. And the reasons are best known. Olive, you've highlighted them in doing a recap of what really happened in that video. Prior to Aziz Fashola, also known as Naira Marley, shooting that documentary, that long documentary explaining and detailing the accounts of what happened. We know there was cancel culture, where a lot of persons, a cross-section of Nigerians had already cancelled him, his music,
media trial,
of course, and then yes,
Sam Larry,
exactly.
members of the Malian, who stood
and then
by him.
there's this media trial, like Benga had said, where everybody had said, okay, fine. It seems like majority of Nigerians possibly just accepted to the media trial because of the videos they had seen online, which categorically showed where, of course, the late artist under his record label was being bullied. So adding 1 and 2 together, especially with that video where he had said, if anything happens to me, please hold this record label accountable. And that's the video where he was trying to shoot. He was shooting the musical video, and then he was being bullied and attacked as well by one Samson Balogu, better known as Sam Larry. But why is this very necessary? Well, it's also good that this is documented. That's what he's done. He's documented his own side of the story. He's explained what really took place. And like Olive also rounded it up in the entire conversation, he said he would like for the case to be retried once again. Don't forget that Mohbad's father has been hopping from one court case to the other, still trying to seek answers and find who
I
really...
wonder if Mohbad has even been buried. I don't think so.
I think he has.
He was buried, and then still
They had to exhume
statements
his
that they have to exhume his corpse for autopsy. That it was too quick.
I'm not sure if it's been reburied.
It's a whole
And it's
lot.
just,
The drama is a whole lot. However, from another perspective, the points are: why did he wait this long to speak? That he ought to have spoken immediately he came out of prison.
I don't agree.
So that he would be able to...
I mean, it was in detention for
I don't
2
agree
months.
that he
Yes,
would have
as soon as he
spoken.
came out.
And I just checked on YouTube as well.
Gathering documents and all of that.
On YouTube as well, I've seen that someone else shared that same sentiment. Mokuye Chukwuemeka on YouTube says, story for the gods, after how many years? Elizabeth Jones says, Mohbad's parents are the reason why they couldn't get justice for him. And Elizabeth Jones goes further to says, broken home really cost it. Father and mother are not in one accord. I think that he could have shared his story. I don't think that it's too late for him to share his own side of the story. Reason because it's a very sensitive matter. He had already gotten cancelled by the public. If he was to come out, it was important
Nobody
for
would
him.
even listen to him.
Exactly, nobody would have
cancel
listened to him. Like,
his apology
this happened in 2023. Between then and now, how much have you heard about Zinoliski? Nigerians are usually one-way traffic. When they decide to cancel you, they cancel you until something happens. Then they change their mind and they turn the other way. So I think it was important for him to collate all the evidence and put together his story, right, in a way that I'm sure he would have also gotten counsel from his lawyers as to what he should and should not share.
Right.
So I don't think that it's the same way that if we say that why is he speaking now, that's the same way we would then justify those who maybe were sexually assaulted years before and couldn't speak at the time, but then later decided to speak. So long as the crime is not statute barred, you can speak about it and share your own side of the story. But anyway, let's move on.
Let's see some reactions, by the way. Let's see what Nigerians are saying on social media reacting to this. Foundational Amoda says, Amoda Ogunlere says, I just watched an Mali video on his side of the story. Obviously, from evidence he presented, he had nothing to do with Mohbad's death. I would have loved if he released the results of the test carried out to Mohbad since he paid for it while he was acting paranoid and suicidal. I think drug abuse, either influenced by Naira Marley or not, played a huge part in his paranoia. I think Marley should have gone a little bit further to help Mohbad by flying him out when he was displaying obvious signs of depression and being suicidal. All he did after was trying to clear his name, which I perfectly understand because I would have done the same. Now that Naira Marley has told his own side, people like Zlatan, Bella Shmurda, who have more info and accused Naira, should come out with their own facts to counter Naira Marley. If they don't or can't, then it means all Naira Marley said is true and it was all a setup. And then you wonder, setup for what? Well, High T, that's Real High T, says, most of the people under this comment section didn't watch the video, as usual. Number one, Zina and Mohbad were not friends. Most Nigerians don't like reading. They don't like spending time. No time. One, Zina and Mohbad were not friends. Two, Mohbad was changing number like water. Three, Mohbad dropped the female account details 3 times until his boss decided to stop sending money to that account. That's a highlight. And then 4, Mohbad was not in his right state of mind. 5, someone was controlling Mohbad behind the scenes, maybe his wife, because his manager said it. 6, Naira Marley took the allegations against him after the NDLEA case less important. And 7, Mohbad needed help, but he didn't get it till he died. I'm going to highlight 7, very key. Anyone who's going through a state of depression needs all the help they can get. Benga, I want to take the next.
Yes, Oluwatobi says Naira Marley went on YouTube to talk about how he's not guilty of the accusations leveled against him surrounding Mohbad's death. His editor even added emotional song to it. My question is, if you didn't kill him, did you bully him or not? Or does that exonerate you?
Said the editor added
emotional song. Flute.
Summary of the video, Abba says, Naira is forward-thinking and tried to keep as much record as possible about the interactions post-Mo, saying he should be held responsible for anything that happens to him. 2, he was good to Mo as per the interactions shared. 3, Naira, no, they charge phone. Is it charge or change he meant?
Charge, because if you could see the bar
was always running out.
Okay, that makes sense.
Maybe he's on band E.
Oh.
Nigerians.
No, that one is about people that live abroad because they always have power, so they don't usually feel the pressure.
They don't need power back.
So they don't.
But it's a sad case because whether we like it or not, if we go back in time, the person, the artist, the talents, the star that was lost to death cannot be brought back to life.
No,
so
that's a sad reality.
Himself.
Yeah.
And you know what's
fight
painful
for
about
themselves.
this? What hurts me about this is that people have then used the Mohbad demise to launch brands. People have become famous for it. It feels like every Eke market day when people feel like, a number of people just feel like, we need to talk about something.
You know, desecrated his memory, like what VDM did. I don't support that. Like, I mean, let this man rest in peace. What was the use of all the interviews you did with people that are close to him? And, you know, it's just...
I mean, the argument may be that
messy.
if there was a hand involved in his death, then it's important that is fished out.
But again, Nigerian police, thorough investigations. How do you not detain or question? I'm sure they did, but was it thorough enough?
Yes.
The people in the immediate vicinity.
And why did
when
they hurry
passed
to bury
the
him?
last 48 hours, yes.
And then they said
of his life.
It's a whole lot. And then don't forget to the nurse, the auxiliary nurse, who was equally in the entire picture.
You know.
Yes, talk about Nurse Ogedengbe as well was in the picture as well, if I remember. Yeah, that's a surname. And the issue of her administering an injection that she shouldn't have. So it's a back and forth. I think it's a clustered case. And now he's giving his own side of the story. I like what the other tweet, the other one we read. He's giving his side of the story. Let's wait for the others too. Maybe they will shoot their own.
Who are the others?
Okay,
the main person here now is Mohbad.
Zlatan witnessed what had taken place. Everyone that was there. But like we said, we're bringing this on Wake Up Conversation because it's important that when someone who had a very strong impact on the lives of the Nigerian music industry and Nigerians as it were, and don't forget this was a very, very big story in terms of the fact that the Lagos State, Corona and all that, they had to jump in to ensure that they ascertained what could have been the cause of death. And even every single person, be it whether you are a politician, whether you are a celebrity or so on, was in one way or the other affected by this story, and this also would open another can of worms. We hope that would find a way.
Let's also use this as a lesson to raise awareness for mental health, because there are lots of people that appear to be all right, but they're dealing with one sort of demon or the other. So pay close signs to people that exhibit suicidal tendencies and, you know, irregular behavior, and try to seek help.
Yeah, I think what's important as a society is when you have... I'm glad that we're waking up to conversations about mental health, because prior to now, and even still now, when you talk about mental health, some of the barriers that stop people from getting help will be culture and religion. People will believe, I'm a child of God, I cannot have depression in Jesus' name. Amen, I agree with you, you're a child of God. But, you know, God has also given wisdom to the therapists and the doctors. So the same way when you have malaria in your body, you go do tests and get checked and they give you treatment. Your brain also has a doctor. The doctor is called a therapist or a psychiatrist or psychologist, depending on what the situation is.
Or a neurosurgeon.
You know, exactly. So I think that it's important as a society that we encourage people to speak openly about mental health. So we start to destigmatize it and people don't feel so isolated and feel so alone. especially public figures. Public figures, they have to bear the brunt of social media assessment, criticism. A number of them have to deal with just being in the spotlight. The scrutiny that being with the spotlight brings is something that is very difficult to manage sometimes. And then, yes, a number of them get into bad company and pick up habits. Some of these habits are picked up because their lives are like a very...
As coping mechanism.
Exactly, it's a coping mechanism because they're incredibly busy, they're on the move, they're not resting. So they pick up these habits, you know, and I hope that we can be more open to offering support to people with mental health. But more importantly, I hope that, you know, Mohbad can get justice, whatever justice will mean in this case. Like I always say, when a life has been lost, there really can never be true justice, because justice that cannot bring back the dead, is that really justice? But that if there be any person or persons that were involved in his death, we do hope that that investigation is carried out and, you know, that they be brought to book.
All right, let's move on as we leave that story and go to another story that everyone seems to be talking about, an empty booth. Reminds me of an empty space.
An empty house.
They say that's what
It reminds me of...
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. No, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of that.
And Westlife.
No, I'm not a fan.
Really, why?
Nah.
You didn't used to like Love.
I always had. So I'm more of a fan of...
Backstreet Boys.
I'm not racist, please. Let me state clearly. I was more a fan of R&B, Boys to Men, Style Plus, and all that. But I think I got a bit tired with every street you go to, everybody was, you know.
It's giving nothing way Musano go see for empty streets.
One thing I dare never see for...
Anyway, let me tell the story very quickly. The Tokyo International Conference for African Development is actually holding. It's going to be, I think, a 3-day or how many days. It kicked off. And a young Nigerian who is so passionate decided to go to where exhibitions were holding, booths were displayed, and he decided to bring to the notice of not just Nigerians in the diaspora and Nigerians as a whole, you and I. He also tried to ensure that the federal government is aware that they do have an empty booth out of all that we had there. I don't know if we have the video to show concerning how, or the pictures as well, where he also displayed it and made it clear. Anyway,
this is the tweet by Idris Bello. He says, I hate to show negative things about Nigeria, but it's sad that Nigeria is the only unmanned booth at Ticket 9 in Japan. Upon all the folks who probably got ESTA code from coming to Japan, only God knows how many Japanese folks have asked me about the unmanned booths, seeing my dressing. So ashamed, I have now designated myself as honorary consul and taken over the booth to engage visitors.
He says, I have now answered questions ranging from solid minerals to housing to landmines to manufacturing to automobiles. No time to even ask ChatGPT. Thanks for residual knowledge from investing. And then he shows the picture of the empty booth. But let's take a look at this video.
The country stand where you have all the African countries at Ticket 9. You can see different countries, Cameroon showcasing itself. You can see Cameroon showcasing itself. You can see Togo, you can see Senegal. I've been going around, right? So Senegal, Sierra Leone, Republic. You can see all the books are, you know. You can see Sierra Leone, and then you come to Guinea, and then you come to the giant of Africa, and there's 0 people there, 0. Not one, 0. Of all the people that left Nigeria on your plate, not a single person is manning the stand on the biggest country on the continent. Every other country is represented and how people manage their stand. Then here comes our own Nigerian stuff, and there's nobody. Everybody just stop coming here asking, not a single person managing the stand. Very, very disappointing as usual. Very, very disappointing.
Lots of reactions. There were many Nigerians that said, you know, maybe the delegation have gone to Shibuya district for shopping, or they've gone to some parts of Tokyo for restaurant. And these things happen when they go for these conferences. But there were 2 reactions.
Yes.
One from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and another one from the presidency. And they seem to contradict each other.
The opposition also reacted to this.
So you want to... Let's
start with one of them.
Let me start with the opposition. Okay. Peter Obi has called it a diplomatic embarrassment. He said he's of course criticized this. Another person that criticized was Atiku Abubakar. Atiku Abubakar said it's a show of shame suggesting even the launching of Renewed Hope might be delayed with the booth's inauguration. And ADC's Bolaji Abdullahi has also criticized this, noting that despite a large entourage in Japan, nobody was there to man the booth. Now let's go to those who spoke in support. Binga?
Well, yes, and I mean, still talking about the reactions, the foreign ministry first said, you know, TICAD officially kicks off today. So those people that were
By today,
there,
we mean yesterday?
No, Thursday. Today.
Okay, today 21st.
Today,
they said the book's not officially open until the 21st.
So those ones were doing over syllables. They now them sabi go there first. So that was the first reaction. Then the presidency, yes.
Bayo Onanuga.
I mean,
he says that Nigeria's focus was obviously strategic
and not exhibition.
Excuse me, strategic engagement and not exhibit at a trade fair. And in support of that, Bayo, what's his name? Ortega. Also, you know, further emphasized that we're not there for a photo op.
It's not photo
so
op.
Is it that
it's telling your stories.
Is it that we're not there for
what happened to the Nigerian High Commission in Tokyo? You could send members of the staff. You have promotional materials of the country. It's not nothing deep. Visit Nigeria. There are tourism leaflets you could give out. You could say one or two things about the country. It shouldn't be left empty. And when we fall short of standards, we should be
ready to take accountability.
We should be ready to take accountability. Hold our hands up high and say, look, we messed up here. Next time we'll do better. Because I don't understand. It's like you're digging yourself more and more into the pit. I don't understand all this presidential rigmarole.
Well,
do you understand the rigmarole?
Today I'm going to fight for the presidency.
Okay.
Yes, I'll fight for them today. Anyway, so two things that could either have happened. The first is, while they were going for the event, of course they were invited and they were going for the event. The president was there, the Honorable Minister of Power is there, you also have the Minister of Foreign Affairs is there, you also have another Honorable Minister, you do have a good number of entourage, you have an entourage that's gone there. There must have been someone who maybe did not really see the information that while you are coming, a booth has been provided for you.
Why do you have an embassy in Tokyo?
Hold on, I'm coming now. That there's a booth that has been provided for you, that you are to man that booth and showcase some of your cultural displays. Remember that it's also a place for diplomacy, and you know, it's a B2B where business to business can actually meet and interact because you have other countries there. So that information, one, could have been missed, or this
is the 9th edition. It's not the first time Nigeria is attending TICAD.
It could also be, I'm just trying to look at possibility.
I'm just trying to give you
I get your point, and I like it. And two, there could also be that while that booth was offered, like the response from some of the SSAs, they said, in other words, just to reduce the long story, the booth is not really our concern. Our concern is the business. That's what we went there for. So it shows what the priority is. And the priority for Nigerians should be that they went there for proper business.
Do two things. You can do your
booth was not
investment drive, and you could also man the booth and not leave it empty.
I think the goal...
But they said they'll man it today. Today they said they'll man it. Somebody will be there today and tomorrow.
Of course they will man it. So it's the thing is, what Nigerians are saying is we should never be unprepared. And any opportunity to showcase our nation in a positive light publicly, you know, we should jump on it.
You should make hay while the sun shines.
Let's take the reactions on social media to this story and the criticism of the unmanned booth. Oluwaseun DSP says, well done, bros. Just imagine those that were sponsored with taxpayers' money to represent Nigeria. Did they show up at their duty post? This is the exact thing they do back at home. They behave anyhow because they know whether they work or not, they will get paid. Many Nigerians lack the right attitude to work. Many want to get paid without justifying their pay with commensurate work. I hope those who are sponsored with taxpayers' money to represent us but refuse to show up are made to pay for it. The next tweet says, I'm curious, what were their inquiries? How did you attend to their needs? Was it co-heads of states attending the summit that made inquiries?
No.
How were you able to meet their needs? I also noticed some other African booths were empty, except for those selling flags, statues, and the likes. Would you have preferred Nigeria did the same? Thanks for your anticipated response, Honorary Consul. Ogabayo, this response feels more like damage control. This is in response to Bayo Onanuga. It feels more like damage control than clarity. While it is fine for Nigeria to prioritize high-level bilateral engagement over
Exactly.
optics, dismissing concerns about the empty booth as ignorance is unnecessary and arrogant. Optics also matter in diplomacy. Visibility complements strategy. If Nigeria came only for boardroom talks, the government should have communicated that earlier rather than reacting defensively after criticism. In truth, Nigerians are simply tired of opacity. They want to see representation, not just be told, trust us. A credible government balances quiet negotiations with transparent public visibility. And this is a very brilliant analysis.
Fantastic tweet
by
from
Ike.
Ike. I endorse it 100%.
Yes, absolutely. Anyway, so that's the summary of it. But away from that, just to mention that the president did speak and he focused on a number of things. He talked about UN Security Council reform. He spoke about market collaboration as opposed to aid dependency, and talked about using technology as a tool for peace. And he also applauded our security, our armed forces, talking about the work that they've done. That yes, we're still battling insecurity, but they've done great work. So kudos to the president. Great points there that he's highlighted.
And I hope by ticket 10, if there's no one to man the boot, please, I'm available as a patriotic Nigeria. I can man the boot because I love Japanese sushi from Shibuya district. And from there, I could take a train to Yokohama, Nagoya, visit other places.
Benga is okay.
It's a beautiful country.
Benga is okay. Don't
Okay,
worry.
while
let you
Benga
go.
is reminiscing on the future of potentially manning the booth, let us hear serious anchors share with you the top stories on Breakfast Central. This morning on Breakfast Central, National Budget Office fails to publish quarterly report, first time in 15 years. Concerns rise over planned salary hike for President and others. This is, of course, by RMAFC. And stakeholders advocate for religious tolerance and unity. It's been a holiday, a work-free day since yesterday. News Central holds the One Middle Belt, One Voice town hall in Jos today. And we'll be following up with that and bringing you live updates, and we'll also be reviewing the newspaper front pages. Join us.
Hello, welcome back to Breakfast Central. This morning, we have a very important conversation coming up next. We're spotlighting a troubling development in Nigeria's fiscal governance. For the first time in 15 years, yes, that's a decade and 5 years, the Budget Office of the Federation has failed to publish its quarterly budget implementation report.
This quarterly budget implementation report tells us how government revenue is performing, how funds are being spent, and whether ministries are meeting their targets. It's the fiscal scorecard of the nation.
Well, without it, Nigerians are left in the dark. Are we actually overspending? Do you know? Are we underperforming? Do you know? Or are funds being diverted? We simply really don't know. So this isn't just a bureaucratic oversight. It's actually a breach of public trust in one way or the other if you look at it, because the citizens deserve to know. These reports are constitutional requirements and a cornerstone of transparency. So why the silence? Well, to talk about this, we do have someone who's been tracking this very closely, Nigeria's fiscal accountability, especially for years. We have with us the Group Head, Research and Policy Advisory of Budget, Mr. Vayala Kwaga. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
Good morning, team. It's a pleasure to be here as always.
All right. The Fiscal Responsibility Act mandates quarterly reporting. Now we've seen that it's not actually what it is. Where do we go from here? Is this not a violation of this act?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely a violation. And it's interesting when you look at the provisions of the act regarding dissemination and publication. In fact, if you go through the act thoroughly, you will notice something very curious and interesting. Despite the clear directives and mandates for disclosure, for dissemination, for reporting, for collation of information, there is not one single penalty or consequence for non-compliance. So the Fiscal Responsibility Act is, by and large, a toothless bulldog. And this was by design. The framers of this act, according to very reliable sources who are involved in the drafting of this piece of legislation, noted that the parliamentarians at that time extracted any form of penalty or consequence for non-compliance of these provisions. And for me, the strength, the responsibility of any government is in its ability to be held by its own laws. So where you have a law that may not have a consequence, where a government is able to keep itself accountable and obey those laws, I mean, that is the highest form of responsibility. That is the highest form of regard for the principles of the rule of law. So if the government is unable to do so, I guess your conclusion is as good as mine.
Now, Mr. Kwaga, for 15 years, Nigerians have come to rely on these reports as a kind of fiscal x-ray of the country. Now we're in the dark, we're kind of in the dark because they haven't published it. From where you sit, what does this silence say about the government's attitude to transparency?
So, I mean, it hasn't been entirely silent. We have had presentations by the Minister for Finance and the Director General of the Budget Office of the Federation, here and there in news media, print and television. But I worry for the type of disposition that shows. You are literally moving from the publication of comprehensive documents that even had their issues, you know, in terms of disaggregation, in terms of them being machine readable, in terms of them coming as at when due and in a timely manner, to the outright non-publishing of these documents. And I think it's very telling for an administration that has claimed that it is making more revenue. I mean, I think the obvious thing to do would be to provide the numbers, to provide the figures, to provide the documentation that shows that this is actually where we are for this particular period. And when you look or you think about the implications of this non-publishing towards the disposition it shows to foreign investors, for instance, anyone who wants to bring their money into a country and sees that, oh, the government itself is, you know, somewhat dismissive, not very concerned about publishing its own books, struggling to understand the kind of reaction that would elicit from a foreign investor. Perhaps, you know, investors may not bother so much, but I think it's important for we in the country, we the citizens, civil society, the media, academia, think tanks, would want to know. We deserve a right to know. As you said in your opener, there's a constitutional mandate for the government to be transparent. So where it does not even give you the information in a tangible form, how then can you hold it accountable? It would be very difficult to do so. And I'm sure that the government knows this and understands this, but I wonder how they intend to provide any justifiable response. I mean, there are some comments I'll make a little later about the running of concurrent budgets and the implication that has as well. But this all ties into a seeming disinterest to be held accountable in any shape or form.
Do we perhaps know what might be the reason why this report wasn't made public? And will there be ever any excuse or reason that might, you know, suffice for this omission?
There haven't been any reasons given. Our organization wrote a couple of months ago to the Budget Office of the Federation, and we were seeking, among other things, deeper collaboration, deeper engagement, and access to documentation. And this letter was written sometime early this year. And as at that time, there were still at least 2 pending budget implementation reports for the Federation. And the response we got was, everything you want is online. I mean, that was demonstrably false. But the Budget Office, in its terse response, did not deem it fit to provide an elaborate explanation. That may be an indication of the disposition of this government towards civil society. I will say that in other areas, the government is extending a hand towards forging a proper relationship with civil society. But in this regard, as it regards the publication of fiscal information, there does not seem to be any form of urgency. There does not seem to be any form of accountability or willingness to be open and speak frankly and speak candidly to the very Nigerians that they are meant to serve. I mean, off the top of my head, could it be that the Budget Office of the Federation needs its office to be separated from the Budget Office of the federal government? So I want viewers to understand that he's playing a dual role. That office occupies dual roles. He's the Director General of the Budget Office of the Federation, that's the federal government and the subnationals, and for the federal government as well. There have been moves in the past to separate that office, to create a separate office for the Budget Office of the Federation and a separate office for the Budget Office of the federal government. These are things that may perhaps reduce the workload if that is the reason why such documentation has not been published. But it would stand to reason that in Buhari's administration, his budget office published at the very least 3 budget implementation reports in a fiscal year. I mean, the norm is for 4, 1 for every quarter, but there were not less than 3 published. So has the workload reduced? Has it increased? We do not know. Is the budget office willing to speak to civil society organizations in Nigeria? From our experience, the answer is no. Perhaps other organizations may have better success at getting an answer, but we have not gotten anything really substantial since we asked.
So, there's this worry, so far so good. I mean, if it's not been published, the fear for Nigerians now will be that will it in any way affect maybe the next administration that will come after the current one in terms of taking a look at exactly what Nigeria has spent in the past 15 years and how it will impact heavily on every single individual? And why is this so important for Nigerians to actually know? Because what is the repercussion, the impact this will have on every single Nigerian who's watching now?
So it's possible that the next administration may be buoyed by this neglect, non-compliance, casual indifference towards something that should be the cornerstone of our public financial management reporting. And the sad thing about Nigeria is we tend not to improve. Things seem to get worse all the time. I mean, you're coming from regular publication of budget implementation reports. You're coming from regular engagements with the public. If your viewers recall, the previous administrations, I know very clearly, the Buhari administration's Minister for Budget and Planning and DG Budget Office regularly engage civil society, regularly engage the media in presentations, in workshops, in engagements, and it has literally been the opposite. But of course, in many instances, there are no repercussions for such a disposition. Most of the government officials involved do not see themselves as accountable to citizens, rather to the president. And in his defense, the president may simply be overwhelmed or have too much to do or too much to focus on, that he cannot focus on 1,001 things. We need to see a demonstration of leadership. We need to see a demonstration of the willingness to engage with your constituents, Nigerians. I do not think, and I'm sure I'm speaking for the entire civil society when I say that is not too much to ask. It is not too much to ask for the Budget Office of the Federation to simply do its job. That's not too much to ask. So I would say that the implication of this, or what it means, is that we are not clear as to how well money has been spent by the government. The government's principal aim is the security of lives and property, the establishment or the enhancement of the economy to make it more productive, to make it flourish for the benefit of Nigerians. And it does that by spending money. It needs to let us know how well, how efficient, how effective that spending has been, so we can put pressure on the government to prioritize other areas that need to be prioritized. The budget implementation reports show how well government money, government spending has led towards the delivery of goods and services, which is the mandate of the government. It shows how well, how efficient it has transferred money within itself. And in your opener, you mentioned these show how well the government has transferred monies via statutory allocations to MDAs, etc., capital expenditure in particular. And for an administration that's just hit the 2-year mark, I think a couple of months ago, I beg your pardon, it should have been a crowning moment for them to show that, hey, this is where we have arrived. This is what we have achieved with the resources available to us. Saying it in random events, a couple or a few lines or sentences on the revenue you've been able to generate or the expenditure you've been able to achieve does not do justice to the comprehensiveness in a typical budget implementation report. And I think it's all the more telling that the states, by and large, have consistently published budget implementation reports. My organization measures that, in an entire document. It's called the State Fiscal Transparency League. And one of the indicators that makes up our index is the publishing of quarterly BIRs. And by and large, states do that. Even when administrations change, we rank the states and we score them on their timeliness, on the comprehensiveness of those reports. So it is inconceivable that the federal government is unable to do so and provides no explanation, provides no justification for something that is quite frankly, a violation of its own established laws. But I guess, that the reasons for that being the case, we delve into reasons of impunity. And I think you might need a political scientist to speak, to do justice to that.
So what would then be the next steps? You mentioned requesting for this information and being told that it's online. And, Budget has been a very firm advocate for, public display of information, fiscal information. So what would be the next steps? How can organizations like Budget and other civil society organizations hold the government to account to ensure that this happens? And what can the everyday Nigerian citizen do? What role can they play?
To ensure that this is not,
so Budget will continue.
It doesn't become the new normal, because you might just be setting precedents.
Yeah, so Budget will continue to put pressure on the Budget Office. We'll continue to write letters. We'll continue to seek audience and engagement with them. Hopefully, our publication of a press release, you can check it out on our Twitter handle a few hours ago, will get to the right ears. We're also going to reach out to the Minister of Finance, who is responsible for mandating the Budget Office of the Federation to carry out this duty. Would also use our networks to reach out to the National Assembly. The Public Accounts Committee in the recent months has been very, very impactful regarding Nigeria's public financial management ecosystem. And I think the PAC, headed by Bamidele Salam, has done pretty well, in audit, in review of government finances, in compelling MDAs, to report. And I think it was just the day before yesterday, his committee has started the process of hearings for MDAs that have been petitioned by civil society organizations, Budget being one of them, regarding infractions that they have carried out. So, we see bright spots in the National Assembly. We see leadership and a demonstration of leadership in the National Assembly that we believe we can ride on, and perhaps they can, as their mandate presupposes, oversight, they can put pressure on the executive to publish this documentation. Would also still appeal, through the open government partnership, that lines of communication be strengthened and that the Ministry of Finance take up this responsibility and discharge it. It is not asking for too much for you to report to Nigerians whom you serve on how well you have spent their money. We are transitioning to a new regime via the tax laws, and Nigerians will be paying more in taxes. So it is incumbent on this administration to begin to put its house in order and publish how well it has been spending money. I'd like to also, chip in that the Open Treasury Portal, which was, again, an initiative of the Buhari administration that warehoused data on daily, monthly, quarterly, and yearly spending of the federal government, has also not been updated since January of 2025. What that platform did was provide basically, up-to-date information on government spending. So every naira that left the government treasury to pay a contractor was published by the federal government. Now, that was done under the administration of late President Buhari. And it is, I think, worrying, perhaps tragic, that the administration of a retired military general has been far more proactive than that of this current administration.
And that's
reasons given to us are...
Yeah, and that's worrisome.
Yes, go ahead.
I mean that's very worrisome, to say the least, because if we had all of this and yet we're still stuck, no data to show, no proof on how the monies are going and so on, well, I wonder what would become of this in the next few years to come. But because of our time, I think this is where we'll drop the curtains here and say thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully, we'll get to have you back again so we can look deeper into other issues, just like the RMAF, increasing salaries of some of the, persons in Nigeria, where many have called them important, the public servants. Thank you so much for joining us, by the way. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me, as always.
All right. Well, let's tell you that residents of Amarata community in Bayelsa State have decried the raiding of their community by men of the Nigerian police for a second day in a row. The raids by the police follows the killing of an officer by armed hoodlums on Tuesday. News Central's Biola Festus has been monitoring the development, and she brings us this report.
Tuesday morning, residents of Amarata community in Bayelsa State woke up to the sound of a gunshot. A police officer had been killed by suspected armed hoodlums. Upon arriving in Amarata community later in the afternoon, the sights were of empty streets, businesses and schools shut down. The quietness echoed loudly as many residents had fled the community in fear. Eyewitnesses report that moments later, police vans trooped into the community, raiding homes and making random arrests of male residents.
Waiting I hear, say somebody died for front to say, I make her get up, make myself go look. As I get up, go look now, I see dead body for ground. Before we know, police, they don't put tear gas for people's house, break door, break glasses. The next thing they do, they beat my son, where they inside the compound before they beat her up, very foul.
Throughout today, as everywhere was locked down, no store opened because they told that none should open. Everywhere looked so calm. Even this morning, they came. The same thing, they shoot tear gas to affect people. Even now, as we are talking today, we are not safe.
Some of the people's already here. Before we could know, police have poured tear gas everywhere. Even the people that were running, all of us was running before the HM came and asked the people to go back home. So what I'm trying to talk about is that let the government should help this primary school, put gates. That is the fence, look at the fence, they have removed everything.
We're innocent people. I'm a lecturer with the Niger Delta University. What do I have to do with harboring criminals?
Amarata, a large community in close proximity to the government house in Yenagoa, the state capital, adopts a communal living pattern. However, Residents lament that it has become a hotbed of cult clashes. They blame the spate of attacks on inadequate security.
Almost all the cult groups are in Amarata, to the point that Amarata is being mapped by this cult group. A group like known as Bobos own the back of Amarata. The front side of it is owned by other cult groups. They never move to each other's side. And I appeal to the government that the way they train a community policing corps and took them to the state level, let them train people from the community.
They killed a policeman, but that doesn't mean that the police will just come and start, embarrassing people around. The shooting was much, and we were living with children.
2 days on, the streets of Amarata are still disheartened. Efforts to get the police to speak on the incident has proved unsuccessful. Meanwhile, the Bayelsa State Civil Liberty Group has condemned the police approach to the matter.
Police will open somebody's door, they bounce the door, shoot tear gas inside, leaving house. It's not done anywhere. That is unprofessional as far as I'm concerned, with children. So what I expect the Nigerian police to do was to look for these people who have committed this act. They know how to go about them. At the end of the day, they will get information that will lead to the arrest of these people. And now when you arrest these people, will the police come back to say how many houses, how many people innocently we have damaged their properties, how many people innocently we have beaten up, how many people innocently we have arrested? What is going to be their remedy?
Which kind of thing be this? We don't know where we stand, and then say then they come back. So we don't know how we go deal later. Whether they go come, whether na kill, they will come kill us, abi how they will come do with us, we don't know. So I beg, make una come help us.
Bloodstains, now covered with sand, remain in the middle of the streets of Amarata, while residents continue to live in fear. In all this, what's even more worrisome is the government's silence so far on the matter. In Bayelsa State, for News Central, Biola Festus.
And now we are unpacking two stories that strike at the heart of governance and public trusts. The federal government, through the instrument of the RMAFC, is reportedly considering a pay raise for political office holders, while civil society organizations are calling for an independent panel to select the next INEC chair. Two issues, one question. What does this say about our national priorities with inflation biting hard, youth unemployment soaring, and public services gasping for breath? Is now the time to reward the political elite?
And when it comes to our democracy, can we afford to keep the appointment of the INEC chair in the hands of the presidency? Or is it time to hand that power to the people through an independent, transparent process? Now, this and many more questions have been asked not just by Nigerians, but of course, from interested stakeholders. Today, we would table this right here on Breakfast Central because it is indeed a very interesting and developing story. So joining us for this discussion, we do have public affairs analyst, of course, the one who talks tough. We have Mr. Theophilus Akatugba who joins us here live. Thank you so much for being here, not for the front pages, but for a very pertinent conversation. And we also have a human rights advocate and the one who will not stop, but of course continue to speak like the ticking clock. Mr. Peter Aka joins us this morning. Thank you so much for being here.
The difference in their surnames is the Tuba and then they both start Akatuba.
Aka and Akatuba.
Oh, wow.
You're wise, you're wise.
Wow, I should introduce you too as the
as the wise one.
Anyway,
great to have you on the set.
Great to have
My
you.
pleasure.
Go ahead.
So I think a good way to begin the conversation would be, we're looking at two different issues here. RMAFC saying that they want to increase salaries and calls for an independent INEC, a truly independent INEC. I think I'll begin with Mr. Akatugba. The opposition, the PDP, the ADC, and even many of the Nigerians have criticized the statement by RMAFC saying that what they're doing or their proposition is constitutional, is legally backed. So how does this come across? There are those who also argue that it is tone deaf, especially because of the current reality of the everyday Nigerian. How do we find that balance, even when they claim that it is legal? And do you think it's tone deaf?
Okay, let me start by saying when I heard it the first time, my thought about salaries generally in Nigeria is that we have underpaid ourselves into incubation of poverty. what do you have? You have a country that continues to develop poverty. And when we see the numbers, we keep using it for political reasons. Everything we do in Nigeria is poverty development culture. We are not interested in bringing people out of poverty. We've underpaid ourselves for years. And so because the politicians are trying to get a slice of it, we are making noise. Are we really well paid generally in Nigeria? No, we are not. There is this idea, we lived in a period of general subsidy, so we had the false impression that Nigerians were able to get by with the meager salaries we paid over the years. And so when you move to even 70, recently a United Nations or United States body has said that our 70,000 is not going to develop anything. It's not going to bring people into a living wage situation. So generally speaking, we have gone in the wrong direction for so long. Now, everywhere in the world, when you propose increment in salaries for public office, it's always going to receive a backlash. If you compare right now Ghana and Nigeria, Ghanaian parliamentarian politicians, they earn close to 4.something million per month. Naira equivalent, which is about 30 to 40,000 Ghana cedis, which is what they earn per month. And when you compare that with the president of Nigeria's salary of 1.5, it's ridiculous because there's no way. Obasanjo found it difficult to get Okonjo-Iweala to serve in Nigeria because the salaries were not compensatory enough compared to what she was doing. He had to go look for some United Nations arrangement in order to pay the remaining to keep her to work for Nigeria. So we have not done well over the years. What we need to look at is holistic reassessment of the salary scales in Nigeria. The 70,000, even though it's a 100% jump, is still inadequate. And for our public office holders, they are not going there because of that salary, because they know the privileges and the opportunities that, in fact, even public office servants. I used to stay with a civil servant in Benin. I visited, and I knew that he must be earning a very meager salary in terms of his monthly pay. But what it cost us to keep him in office is alarming. He had 3 vehicles parked in front of his house every morning. One will take him away, one for his wife, one for his children. He has everything fueled, his telephone paid for. He was living on the country. So that salary is not even the issue.
So if you say now that we should review our salaries from top to bottom, and you're also saying that our public office holders, a number of them are living lavish lifestyles.
Absolutely.
Should that salary be an issue, especially because at the end of the day, they're able to meet their needs, they're able to live very comfortably,
it should
much
be,
more comfortably.
Is it not hypocrisy to say you pay somebody so meager and you put the burden of his life on the nation? Pay him well and let him take care of his needs so that he can be frugal. When you give somebody excessive petrol, he travels with...
Okay, so are you saying they should cut all those other
Absolutely. And give people proper salaries so that they can live well within their means, not now that they live so lavishly on the nation. Every public officer lives lavishly beyond a means that he can afford. And even when he doesn't need to do it, he does it because it's free.
I'd like to bring Peter Aka into the conversation. The Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission was created by an act of parliament to do its job, and basically they're just doing their job. They haven't had a salary review in many years, and they feel, looking at what the economic indices are saying, it's time for an upward review of the president and public service holders. What's your take on this? Because they're also Nigerians.
I think it's unfortunate that what we call government in Nigeria is actually organized criminality. So the way Nigeria is structured is such that it is to support corruption and criminality at every level. And unfortunately, currently, Nigeria is in the hands of people who have no business in public office, because we have political businessmen who sometimes pretend to attend to issues of governance, but in the major part of it, see Nigerians as customers. The question is not in the increment of salaries, it is in the mischief and or the sincerity of peoples. If you ask an average Nigerian lawmaker today, what is your salary? Their normal salary, they will tell you it is about maybe 800,000, maybe 1.something million. But they have a caveat that there is something they call collapse, that you are supposed to get certain allowances, so it is now collapsed into your monthly. So when they ask you what is your salary, they will call it the basic salary and not tell you what are the other additives to it. But for a government that came into power and found out that you have more than 100 million persons living in extreme and multi-dimensional poverty, after 8 calamitous years of the Buhari administration, and you took out subsidy with one reckless statement, you floated the naira, and you went into other economic, decisions without palliatives for the people. What should be our priorities at this time? If we want to stabilize, because as at now, what we are saying is that we have taken out subsidy for the poor and we are subsidizing the lives of the rich. So the president will tell you we have increased money and allocation to the state governors. What is being done with that amount that has been increased on or improved on? So across board, it is not just a matter of, is the president living on his salary, just as Mr. Katuba rightly said? Are the senators or ministers living on their salaries? So when you create an avenue where people get public office and they see it as an opportunity to self-enrich, that I can use this as, look at the just recently concluded the ongoing Tokyo International Conference. You can see the feedback. The entire Nigerian stand was completely empty when other African countries had people manning them. What happened to the persons who went to the president? So every public office holder does not see it as a duty to service. So it is not about the salary. It is about what I can weaponize this office to get for myself.
On the TCAD, the empty booth, the presidency came out and said, look, they're not there for optics, that they're there for strategic engagement.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so, but part of the strategic engagement is that you are going to man a stand. And the Ministry of Foreign Affairs put out a statement saying that they are late or nobody is there because there's supposed to be an official inauguration of that stand. So every other African country had inaugurated and gone in, but Nigeria needed an official inauguration, just the same way we need to inaugurate 30 kilometers of a 700-kilometer superhighway. I'm sure 2 years into this office, we'll still need to inaugurate the renewed hope government for Nigerians to begin to feel good governance. If you cannot have the capacity to deliver, if you take 40 years, you will not deliver. Nigerians need to end this reign of governance.
I want us to look at, I want us to look at priorities. We've discussed priorities here in the past few weeks, and coincidentally, it's also come out in newspapers as well, where the papers have highlighted what priorities are looking like for the current administration. But in order not to focus solely on the presidency, because like I always say, they're subnationals. And of course, you also have the local government chairman, and then you don't forget, you also have the commissioners, you have the ministers. But it seems like, is everybody towing towards the same line of thought? Because that's what we're starting to see, is looking like, where priorities are focused not on really relieving the pain, but of course, in doing something. Is everybody just trying to do something?
Yes, in a situation where you don't have very, reliable data. The average Nigerian government doesn't know the number of people it governs. It's a crisis situation when you just have to throw something. The way people throw money into the crowd, and anyone that picks it, and you say you are doing something. Maybe one guy picked all the money, and you say, I threw money. The Nigerian situation is that our governance structures over the years have been very defective. We've lived a lie. And when the truth catches up with the nation, we begin to suffer. Nigerians are generally, we've had change of human beings in governance, and our Nigerian situation has never improved because our systems have not been created to develop, to grow. And over the years, we've fueled it. And what we now have is a crisis situation where whoever is in public office is a victim and is a criminal ab initio, no matter the good intention. You can't govern a people that have been so maltreated over the years and not be a victim when you come to take over. They will sacrifice you if you want to be a messiah.
So is it the system or the personnel?
No, the system. The system is made up of people, and we keep changing those in those offices, and we have not seen any respite. And so that's why I said we must take an evaluation. What have we practiced over the years? Number one, when you subsidize your economy the way we've done in 40 years, to resolve it would take sacrifice of blood. Unfortunately, we have not shared the kind of blood that we needed to share to really get wise. So we are still behaving as if we are spoiled children. We have misbehaved a lot. We have squandered our future for so many years. And so now, if we want to correct it, this type of pushbacks that we are seeing, it's going to happen. The president increased salaries by 70,000. What impact has that made now? It has not made any impact because the dip is so deep. The gap is so deep. The valley is so low that we have not been able to bring the people.
And let's also remember that there's only a number of Nigerians that the civil service employs. So the minimum wage does not apply to every single Nigerian.
It does. It's supposed to go across. It's supposed to be the minimum paid by any organization. But have you seen people applying it?
The organization, can they even afford it?
This is the point. So, because you have to have a society that has the middle class and a buying power to fuel businesses. People have manufacturing. Do they sell enough? Are people able to patronize them? Can't you see the general law in trade? That's why the American government fuels the economy and put money in your hand, say, spend this money. If you tell a Nigerian today, you put money in Nigerian hand, spend this money, it hits immediately at the central bank because it's got to pay some foreign because we import everything. Yeah. So government can't even give you money because even if they give you, do they have the dollar to support the avalanche of purchases? They'll buy more bread, that means more wheat will be imported. They'll buy more phones, that means they will import. So we must know that the country has misbehaved a lot. The Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission is saying the right thing, but the citizens are pushing back to say that, have you thought of us too? So we have a lot of problems.
Permit me to just, he said something, I just want you to, if you have a comment on that. Talking about, the U.S. government, other countries, where of course you ensure that you empower the pockets of the people. Therefore, they also fuel the economy. It's like a give and take. It's a circle. In Nigeria, but the government is doing it now. They say they want to release another set of funds to put in the pocket
conditional
of Nigerians.
cash transfer.
Yes, on the social welfare program, and to ensure that people will receive something.
Well, they say that about 40-something billion have been transferred into more than 6 million persons. I don't know which of us have been beneficiaries here. So because I have not received money.
That's why
you are not in that bracket.
We are not in that bracket. Okay, so because the outright problem with Nigeria is a lack of accountability and transparency. To begin with, the issue of subsidy, the problem with the subsidy regime was not that Nigeria pays fuel subsidy. It is the corruption and criminality in fuel subsidy. That is what caused. Subsidy is paid in different forms in different countries. What you are talking about, U.S. government, social security is available as subsidies in different forms. Now, if you say you take out subsidy and there is no accountability for the money that is taken out, you have only diversified corruption and criminality. The question is the corruption in the oil sector gone? You have now moved more money into the hands of governors. Who is holding them accountable? Together, the state government and the federal government have shared trillions of naira since the subsidy was taken. Even some state governors cannot pay the 70,000 minimum wage. Before you talk about private sector, what are the tax incentives available to them? So across board, and then when you talk about every arm of government doing what they need to do, this same government that was talking about local government autonomy, trying to push everybody to believing that we wanted to empower the local government, allegedly went into a peace deal in a state like Rivers, where some of the decisions are that the legally and duly elected governor should not have a stake in the election of local government chairman. Why? Because the former governor and 6-7 cabinet minister will allegedly decide who will be local government chairman. From a government that is talking about local government autonomy and giving power to one individual to decide. So if you look at Nigeria,
is that can we prove that, or are those not?
Why is there a sole administrator there? Have the people come out to tell us what is the peace deal? If they should come out and deny it. The governor went and read the riot act to his persons to stay away from local government chairmanship. What is it called? The suspended governor in Nalayi Fubara. He said that it is on record, so it is not hearsay. It is the statement of the governor. So if you look at Nigeria and you want to talk about our priorities as a nation, we are pretending to talk about governance when what we are doing actually is political businessmen at the helms of affairs. After 8 years of Buhari, Nigeria needed a surgical operation where you talk about the philosophy and what is it called, the political science, and then economics, the PPE, factor. But today in Nigeria, we have a situation where we are just budgeting 700 and something billion to renovate an airport. We are talking about renovating the underwater sectors of the Third Mainland Bridge again for another 3.6 trillion. After the same Minister for Works said in January that they had done a holistic review and that the entire underwater substructure had been taken care of about 45 billion. We are budgeting 15 trillion for a coastal highway that has no way. So you can see the priorities of this government when people are languishing in poverty and insecurity. As a people, we need to come together and decide where are we headed? What exactly are our values and what do we want to reflect in governance?
And that brings me
to... before we take that question, let's go on a very quick break.
Okay.
We have several other areas. I mean, we'll still talk about this, the posture of the government to show concern, and then we'll head over to INEC. But for now, let's go on a very quick break. There's more to come this morning. Stay with us.
You're welcome back to Breakfast Central, and we're currently looking at the proposed increase in salaries for public office holders, and of course calls for INEC reforms. We have in the studio Mr. Peter Aka and also Mr. Theophilus Akatuba. Now, before we went on the break, I wanted to ask you a question. This is our 26th year of uninterrupted democratic experience, and we've changed personnel, we've changed parties, but we still seem to be in the doldrums. If somebody died in 1983, just before President Buhari took office from Shagari, and you read the headlines then, and you read the headlines in 2027, it will be the same. I'm going to fix road, provide water, the basics, and this is 40 plus years on. That shows you how much we've progressed as a nation. So we tried the military, it didn't work. Some will argue the military put us in this situation we're in now. And 26 years is quite a lot of, I mean, that's 2 decades plus to have fixed things and at least let's know what direction we're headed. So is it a Nigerian system problem, or is the problem with the people? Because they say that there's a saying that the people deserve the leaders they get.
Thank you very much. I think Nigeria, just what you painted, shows that we have done so many experimental governance style. We've gone into military, we've changed people. So Nigeria has not taken a look at the quality of its own citizens. It is the citizens that produces a leader. You can't get saints from demons. Nigerians are looking for some wonderful leader.
Messiah.
Yes, but the way we are structured, the way we interact, the nationals interact, the tribes interact, the disunity.
The critical mass of Nigeria.
Absolutely. Yeah. The suspicion among ethnic nationalities cannot produce any progress that we have dreamt of. What we dream of is too utopian for the people, for what we set up here. We look at everything from both religious, both ethnic, and we are so sick in it that we can't get the benefits. No nation that is not united, the way we are not united, can't develop. Our developmental stride is marred by our disunity, and our disunity is formed in the heart and the sinews of the thought of Nigerian people. And so once we have that, you continue to wallow. That's why from people to people, all the coup plotters, they announced that they were fighting corruption. And another person come to sweep him away and accuse him of corruption. From point to point, we keep accusing each other of the same thing. All our problems have remained the same. Why is Boko Haram and all these crises in the north? Many years of underdevelopment of the human capital. Many years of neglecting the people, whereas the northerners elsewhere in leadership. The kind of money that have gone to the north, what did they do with it when they have mass of human beings that they have not developed, they've not improved their life. Now those people are fighting the nation, are fighting them. They see them among themselves, call them bandits. They know they are their children. And we have not been able to resolve that crisis till today. The entire place has become a marketplace of insecurity. Everybody's trading with it. The NGOs are doing business, the military people are doing business, everybody's doing business with insecurity. And so when people who go to the north, both those who do research, everybody is a huge marketplace. So the much money we've sunk into that place, we've got less result. And so the citizens go to our airport. If it's time for election, the entire electoral system is a marketplace. The electoral officers are calling politicians, I'm in town, I'm in charge of this, can we see? Sit in hotels and they sort you out. Go to the judiciary. The prosecutor is in business with the judiciary, asking that I'm sending this case to this lawyer. The man that is being accused has seen somebody. We have a problem. And if we don't cure that problem, and I'm looking, that's why when I come to Nigeria, I'm in Nigeria, I tell people we have done well. They say, why? Because the quality we have shouldn't have produced anything better.
So what you say?
What I'm saying, I want to thank God. If I say electricity, you get into a community, and you see electricity generation and transmission people, they are selling cables, they are collecting bribe, they are selling you transformers, selling you meter that's supposed to be used to meter their supply. They sell it to you. And you expect electricity. If you have, won't you be grateful? Because that system shouldn't produce electricity.
So when you say that we have to cure it, what do you recommend?
Absolutely. That is what we call the National Orientation Agency for the first time is awake more than ever before. They put some more money there. They've been talking. We need more of that.
They need to do more.
We need to do more. Nigerians have not understood the structure of this nation. They don't even know the powers of the president, what he should do. Everyone is crying for what a local government chairman should have done. He's not even well aware. Our schools did not teach our people what structure of governance we have in Nigeria. Whereas somebody in the US or UK knows Nigeria even better because they teach their children how Nigeria is structured. You have to teach your people. Either they were not well taught, either because of the hatred for one another. The schools in the East are teaching something else, the schools in the West, everyone is teaching something else. And when we bring the citizens to the center, we work against each other, go to the ministries, everybody's fighting one another, taking advantage of one another. You bring a fight, it's about your tribe or your brother that takes the fight. We have a mess here.
Okay, let's, Mr. Aka, do you have any, additional response to that before we move into the INEC side of the divide?
Because, that even moves us into the INEC side of the divide, because that is actually the solution to... Nigeria has been living a lie. Nigeria, we are not as disunited as the politicians make it seem. In fact, a lot of the division in Nigeria today are stoked by political actors, purposely because you need to pit people against each other. We are not more divided than Americans, but where there are laws that govern people and everybody is held under account under the same law, people will unite. There is Spanish America, Chinese America, everybody is there. But in Nigeria, the problem is a lack of consequences and accountability. And whether it is a citizen's problem, I do not think that the national orientation is important, but Nigerians know what is good governance. The people in the north are suffering the same way the people in the southwest, the people in the southeast. Now, what is exactly the problem? A lack of accountability. It is not human beings that fight corruption, it is institutions that fight corruption. Nigerians have failed to fix the most fundamental aspect of our governance and democracy. The foundation of every democracy are free, fair, and credible elections. Why? Because that is the first line of accountability. It instills the desire to deliver on public office holders. There is nobody who knows that power will come from the people and that they have the capacity to take me out that will fail to deliver. Look at the US president, arguably the most powerful person in the world. He came in barely a few months ago, January 28th. He's in a hurry to deliver on his promises, immigration laws, foreign affairs, end the war in Ukraine. Why? The US system does not even give you 4 years. In 2026, 2 years, they will have something they call midterm elections. Either Senate or Parliament or House can flip to Democrats. It puts you in a difficult situation. That is where people, public office holders, believe that power comes from the people. Nobody will know that Nigerians will need to re-elect me in 2027 and will govern the way APC is doing in Nigeria. Their hope and confidence is in a corrupt and criminalized electoral process and a corrupt judiciary. That is where Nigeria must put focus. Because if you fail to fix that system, whether there is a riot, there is a violence, there will have to be another government in 2027. So everything we are complaining today, like you said, since 1973, we will do it again on another forum. We will resubscribe for another Shege subscription by 2027 for another 4 years. So that is how it goes. The question is, for how long will it take for Nigerians to build a system to hold leaders accountable? From there, begin to reform your systems, because it is not a hopeless situation.
Okay, let's also make reference to the past elections. We just had the by-elections. Yeah. We have elections coming in 2027. What would you say are the lessons that we've picked? Those who have, PDP has said, I believe they said something in the line of what we've seen in by-elections will not repeat itself in 2027. Do we have enough time between now and 2027 from all that you've seen with the by-elections, the off-cycle elections, do we have enough time to fix Nigeria's electoral system? What do we need to do?
We have enough time to fix it. What we have learned is that Nigerian elections are now open to the highest rigor. Anybody who can rig sufficiently and maximally will get the office. And then when you are rigging against an incumbent who also has interest, you know that it's an uphill task. The solution is simple. It is not about somebody appointing INEC chairman. Anybody can even recommend the INEC chairman to the president, but the money to run that office, the bureaucracy, is something that we can tighten the news and frustrate you there. The problem is the transparency of the electoral process, from voter registration to voting to coalition of result or to transmission. INEC received 313 billion in 2023, and they said the game changer of the 2022 Electoral Act will be electronic transmission of results. On the day of election, February 25th, the professor in INEC said there was a glitch. Ladies and gentlemen, does any of us knows what caused the glitch up till today? At least if you have sincerity of purpose, when you commit that amount of money to a process to deliver on one critical issue, if it does not deliver, it should be a national consensus that we should know what happened and why we should not have further glitches moving forward. But that same character or that same person is still seated at the helms of affairs in INEC, and when he's replaced, he will be replaced with someone worse. So the best of man is man. Nigeria must go back and look at the Electoral Act, Section 60, subsection 5. The presiding officer will transmit the results in a way and manner as prescribed by INEC. No. Did INEC prescribe the way paragraph 38 of their guidelines? Electronic transmission is there. But the judiciary said it was not an omission to the Electoral Act. So there is ample time for us to close every loophole in the Electoral Act and then mobilize to ensure that you close it from judicial technicalities and Nigerians protect their votes in 2027. Anything other than that, we will just continue talking. Mobilization revenue might increase salary by 1 million %. Insecurity will explode. We will come back in 2027 because the persons who are managing these affairs are not interested in the governance. They are interested in coming back.
Do you agree with him?
To a large extent, but differ, especially when it talks about these reforms and reforms. I know that it's championing electoral reform. But you see, we just had a new, this particular one we used in the last election was also a product of some reform that we just had recently.
Yes.
And we tried it in one election. And our cry for further reform has also increased. That tells you about the human factor. It talks about institutions. Institutions are made possible by human beings. If you don't solve the defective standard of the Nigerian person, all your hope for a great election will be thwarted because the man is so weak that he sells his vote. He doesn't even know the quality of vote he's holding. He doesn't know what it is. And he sells it. In the last election, if transmission had a glitch at all, as INEC reported, as is possible with all technology, because if you rely on, that's why up to now the US is saying they want to take away technology from our election. They want to make sure that the election is manual. They don't want mailing ballot and all of that. They are still fighting that matter. Look at Nigeria. In an electoral system where the people who you call your own agent will take money from the opposition and not bring you the result of a polling unit correctly, what is your hope as a politician? When your electoral agent, your own agent.
And that's the human factor you're talking about.
He went to the electoral polling unit to represent you.
And sabotage.
In that place, he took money from 2 other people and agreed to doctor results. Is that a reform that you can solve?
Yes.
No, hold on. Because the results are supposed to be with him. In Ghana went to polls with even an electoral act that is not as strong. What happened? The results were already known to all, including the vice president in power who lost and considered before the INEC announced. Is that not the quality of human beings? In Ghana, where I lived there for 20 years, there's no public holiday on election day. And people will vote, and the votes, the media houses will project the election. Every media house would have projected election. In Nigeria, it's such a big secret. Instead of for reform, you should be talking about is that the media should be able to announce results by having people in all the unit to feed them back of the result they got.
Like
Today,
a data control.
Yes,
Yeah.
but we don't have that. All the politicians are supposed to have their situation room. Are they not having it?
I think
because everyone is in a
Yeah.
trade. We are all in a whoever can read the most. That's why they go to court even when they are sure they've lost to see whether they could see someone to bribe to talk. Even during election tribunal matters, you not see the kind of monies that are going on. See, we can cry for all reforms.
So,
if we don't understand that election have consequences, and we've been able to get the Nigerian man. In Ghana, they fought military people that were some people physically in order to prevent them from tampering with the election. The citizens take control of the election. They do not need a holiday. Primary school children can conduct election if Nigerians are ready for election.
So from what I've deduced from this conversation today is we've told ourselves some home truths about ourselves as a people, and it seems like doom and gloom. But I mean, it's just the reality. So my question to you both is there any silver lining? Is there any hope? They say hope is not a strategy. Are you positive that, you know, we can change this system of corruption we're so used to? There's a generation of Nigerians that don't even know any better. And it's not because of lack of not knowing, and this is just what they know, that you're supposed to get into office, you're supposed to be corrupt, you're supposed to have a godfather. We've lost, I mean, look at the moral decadence in society. People don't have positive role models anymore. So is there any silver lining, any hope, any low-hanging fruits to change this?
There is. For example, the political parties, I'm sure they have so many members. If you have 1 million members, why are they, with all the zest and the energy with which they do media work and advocacy, get into the polling unit and see your votes and educate the people about the quality of their vote. Pay attention to movement of the people, because by the time you come into the media space, you make yourself popular, and when it's time for election, you don't have reliable agents. Your results are not even proper. And then when you even say that you've been cheated, you don't have evidence. In Ghana, when there was a problem with an election, the pink sheets from the units were considered, and they were looked at clinically, including the fact that our president was able, current president then gave them the forensic auditors that helped him. Then there was a major landmark matter where Akufo-Addo, who now finished ruling, was the one that contested that election. What I am saying, the INEC chairman, whoever, anybody can be INEC chairman. After all, he's not at any polling unit. So the results are brought. I see that even the politicians, because they know it's a big trade, they know that it's about a rigging bazaar. They know what they're doing.
I want to push back on that. You said anybody can be INEC. Sorry, before you jump in, you said anybody can be INEC chairman.
Anybody.
There's been a call for that role to become an elective position, because they feel like he who plays the piper dictates the tune. And it feels like, because the presidency is typically involved in maybe selection of who becomes INEC chairman, right? Yeah. Exactly, and that can influence his participation in the election.
But if you elect the person also, is it not a process of electing him also that we're still talking about? Who are the people that will cast the vote? The same people don't know the value of the vote they are casting. The Nigerian man must know that every time you cast one vote, you are not casting a vote about just a deciding victory. You are casting a vote about everything about your life. For 26 years, anybody who has been in the democratic system, every 4 years is 4 years off your life. Every 4 years, another 4 years off your life. You are getting older, you are getting more despondent and more depressed, because your nation's solution, you are not finding solution.
The reason why Nigerians maybe don't understand the value of their vote, like you said, is because they've experienced continuous disappointment over the years.
That is it, because let us not make it seem like this is something that will go forever and without end, because I agree to the extent that you said we had an electoral reform before. In fact, there is a saying that if you want to see how corrupt a country is, look at the number of laws. Laws for everything, but the problem is the enforcement. But he even made a statement that still points to the fact that there is need for electoral amendment or electoral reform, because in Ghana, you are able to get evidence of electoral, irregularities. In Nigeria, the onus is on the politician to prove, even when INEC has those, materials. And INEC will now frustrate you. In fact, it will seem like you are taking both INEC and the ruling party to court. The question is, let us not make it seem like Nigerians do not know exactly what to do with elections. If there was no glitch, is it possible that the outcome of the 2023 elections could have been different? There was vote buying, there was probably rigging, there was whatever. But could the election result be different if there was no glitch and if that system had worked? When we talk about election and building electoral process, there is mischief on the part of politicians. The current president is a beneficiary of the June 12th struggle, 1993. What did President Tinubu learn from the 1993 mandate? Did Nigerians not know about electoral reforms, or we were not more aware in 1993, more than about 2 years ago? How come they were able to queue up to file behind a candidate that had a national spread? Nigerians know what to do. There is no system to support what they want to do. Even the late President Yaradua, who came in 2007, admitted clearly that the elections that brought myself and President Jonathan were flawed, and we are working to improve on them. Unfortunately, he passed, but President Jonathan took it a step further and signed the 2011 Electoral Act. The problem we have had is that we have had a consistent government from President Buhari and President Tinubu who have no interest in building or improving that system. It is not rocket science. The National Assembly knows. The presidency knows. What will change the prospects of Nigeria's election is an electoral revolution on the part of the people, insisting that the right thing be done. Because if we wait forever, we will try to say, oh, we are doing this, there is this problem. No. What caused the glitch? Can we fix that? Can we protect that system? Nobody should say that technology would not work. If technology does not work or systems are prone to hacking, why have they not hacked the account of central bank? Why have they not hacked the account of the ruling party? The only systems...
That is too simplistic.
No, hold on, sir.
Just a minute.
No, sir, hold on. The only systems that do not work in Nigeria are the systems that political actors do not want to work. DRC conducted elections using technology. Senegal, South Africa. What is happening to the giant of Africa? More than 200 million people. We are not saying innovate, adopt existing innovation. Nigerians must put their mouth or their legs and feet on what we want to ensure that system works. It is very possible and can be done even before 2027.
All right.
We're too immature to rely on technology to carry our election, and to do so will be risky. Your election could be taken away from you. In fact, the system is not even owned by Nigeria as a nation. We're relying on Amazon. That tells you that we can't put the sovereignty of a country in the hands of simply technology. That's why... Just a minute. No, what I'm saying is that technology do fail. As big as no way in the world, even the INEC, you have seen banks in Zimbabwe where monies were filtered out of people's accounts. Failures do occur. And so we know it's quite... it's passionate to say technology. You can't throw an entire country's destiny in the hands of just technology. That's why the paper ballot is still the most reliable. We should grow gradually. Even in the UK, they didn't go into internet and technology banking for many years. They didn't. Even till tomorrow. Money transfers in many of those countries do not take place immediately. We were very much ahead of many countries. The truth is that you have to, we should not be too much in a haste, thinking that because of that glitch they mentioned in that election, therefore, if we just solve that problem, the result will just show that...
So I don't think it's just about that.
I'm saying that our anchor, glitch, makes it first. Did the election not take place physically? So that is where I believe you should be able to bring all your results.
So I don't
apart from the glitch.
But I don't think it's just about
the glitch is there. It's to only transmit the result. But the result was a vote.
You talked about
just to push back on something that you said. Isn't it insanity doing the same thing over and over again and expecting the same result? We've conducted our elections in the same way over the past 3 years.
But we have improved.
The only difference in this last election will be the introduction of some form of technology here, and the electoral
reform. It's the transmission of result portion that we're talking about. What I'm saying is,
with all due respect, the issue of technology is not an issue of discussion. INEC itself told the National Assembly. National Assembly called NCC to say, do we have enough network or technology to carry out electronic transmission? It was the current INEC chairman who wrote a paper saying that we are only looking for a law to back up what we are already doing. INEC has a position paper A on the INEC website that talks that since 2011, from the time of Jega, the former INEC chairman, Nigeria was prepared to use technology. It had been tested in off-season selection in Edo, in Osun State, and in other places. So what Nigeria is doing was just an implementation of what INEC says. So it should not be in our place to decide whether the electoral umpire can use this or that. If the umpire said, this is something I have tested and will implement, what is stopping them from doing it? So we must, as a people, now look for, instead of sitting down and saying that technology would not work, we must look for a way for it to work. Because as you have rightly said, repeating the same thing and expecting a different result will be putting us, in what position? We can do it if we want to do it.
Yes, but my advice is that you don't rely on just a technological piece to rely on to give credibility to our election.
It's a holistic
election, yes. The election is credible in different stages. If one aspect fails, should not write. Otherwise, there could be national chaos. If just because you rely on one piece of technology, it's good to have it to smoothen, to hasten the process.
Yes.
The vote counting process have not been digitized. We also need to do that so that you don't have to manually be counting. So we have a lot to do. However, if our people, if we are good as a people and we do dutifully what we are assigned to do, respecting one another, results of election will not be as bad as they are, because the politicians themselves should do more than they are doing currently. There's too much noise, there's too much hue and cry, because if I don't believe this INEC is as good as I want, I will not feel the candidate to an election they conduct. For them to be mobilizing to go to an election that such a defective body is conducting shows that they have confidence in that body.
I think if I'm to look at what our two guests have said, I think pretty much, what I would like to know, we're pretty much saying the same thing. The difference is, I think from your end, you're looking at the technology driving it. I think for Mr. Katugba's end, is looking at the morality of the people who eventually man the technology at the same time. Because if the morality of the person that will man the technology is not good, he's waiting for bribe. No matter how you use the technology, he will glitch it himself. And we saw that in 2023, where the copper was told, open the thing, and she said, no, I can't open it, you know, and they were like, why? So, where do we go from here? I think we have less than...
My call always is that if you have the greatest burden of a leader is the followership that you have. If the quality they are, the average Nigerian politician, with all his good intentions sometimes, is frustrated by the quality of people. And it turns around to not do what they want. I have seen a politician that went to say, want to build something in his community, somewhere in Isoko. Do you know what they did? The young people came into the hall and stood by. After finishing, they said, oh, God, please, we don't want this your story. That money, please. You see our youth leaders here, we want the money to sort. He had to bring mobile policemen to get out of that village. And that project never happened. I've seen where Udwaran built a children's hospital in Delta, and he named it after, it was Ibori, he named it after his wife. On the day of inauguration of a children's center, because it was named after Ibori, what happened? The youth came and sacked everybody, and that hospital was cancelled, and today PFM is the owner of that place, Pentecostal Federation of Nigeria. The children's hospital project cancelled, all the equipment rusted away. Is this not followership? Won't you understand that a name does not make a difference? It could be changed in future. We must understand. You see, passion is good, activism is good, but sometimes we should make sure that we know the people we are fighting for. Are they with us in this activity? Do they believe in it?
Looking at our population and the people that are coming up, the systems they've been exposed to, where is that change going to come from? Where do you begin to reform the minds? There are 30-year-olds that have no clue of anything about what is right or wrong, no moral compass.
If Nigeria does that
not give you a sense of hopelessness?
No. Nation building is not a sprint, it's a marathon. Whether you hit a dead end, you must continue to try. That is what Nigerians will fail to understand. You cannot achieve all change at its time. You can pick one and begin to build from there. When we talk about, Nigeria must build a system where there are consequences for bad behavior and there is reward for good behavior. If somebody intentionally, for a reason, there was a glitch, the question is what happened to whoever caused the glitch? What did you do about it? If a system that nurtures criminality will get criminality, and do not think that Nigerians as followers do not know what to do. Sometimes these statements may be true that people will demand from their leaders. It must begin with leadership by example. Look at the state of Abia, for example. The governor went to commission a road and saw some children that were, hawking and the rest. And he asked the child, why are you not in school? They said, no, they are on holidays. Why? Because he has fixed the educational system such that even somebody who does not pay school fee or does not have money should not have an excuse. The reason why citizens will continue to prey on the leaders is because they know that the job they are supposed to do, they are not doing it. So let us share it. Nigerians are the most understanding followers. Once they see a leader that has vision and direction, look at what happened to President Buhari. People believed that he was moving in the right direction. For 6 months, he had no cabinet. Nobody mentioned anything because they expected or they thought that he had an imaginary or illusionary integrity that will fix the system. In the long run, it claimed to be, what it was. So Nigeria's problem will begin by a citizen that are knowing or well knowledgeable about what to expect and what to demand, and then holding to account the public office holders and getting a system where if they go there and fail to perform, they can take them out and bring in persons who will, mirror their ambitions and their missions. Anything other than that is just going around in circles and waiting forever.
Gentlemen, we have come to the end of this very intense conversation. Thank you so much for joining us.
It feels like a national conference.
It feels like a new central confab, Breakfast Central confab. Theophilus Akatugba and Peter Aka, thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen. And to our audience, of course, you can continue your conversations on YouTube. We're streaming live at News Central TV. Today marks the start of the much-anticipated News Central Town Hall series in Nigeria's Middle Belt, and this event brings together key stakeholders to discuss the region's challenges and opportunities. We'll come into the details of this after the break. Head of the Town Hall for News Central, the Managing Director and Editor-in-Chief, Kari Akintemi, led delegations on courtesy visits to major stakeholders. They included Major General Folusho Oyinlola, General Officer Commanding 3 Division and Commander of Operation Safe Haven, Plateau State Deputy Governor Josephine Pio, and the State Commissioner of Police, Emmanuel Adeshino. These engagements helped strengthen collaboration and set the stage for today's dialogue aimed at fostering peace and development in the Middle Belt. Coverage of the town hall begins shortly. And now let's bring you updates from Tokyo, where President Bola Tinubu has called for sweeping reforms at the United Nations to give Africa permanent representation on the Security Council. Delivering his intervention at the plenary session on peace and stability during the 9th Tokyo International Conference on African Development, TICAD 9, in Yokohama, Japan, Tinubu argued that Africa deserves 2 permanent seats with full privileges. The president said the continent also deserves additional non-permanent seats in the line with the Ezulwini Consensus and SAD's declaration. He also used the forum to laud the Nigerian armed forces for recent successes in the fight against insurgency and criminality, describing their momentum as a springboard for national development and stability. In the meantime, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has officially placed former Group CEO of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mele Kyari, on its watch list as part of a major fraud probe. At the center of the investigation, the alleged mismanagement of $7.2 billion set aside for refinery turnaround maintenance. A federal high court in Abuja has now ordered a temporary freeze on 4 bank accounts limited or linked to Mele Kyari, citing serious allegations of conspiracy, abuse of office, and money laundering. The probe has been gaining traction since last month after several of Kerry's close associates were detained and questioned over the handling of critical public funds. Sources within the EFCC say a formal summons for Kerry could be issued soon as investigators continue to widen the scope of the inquiry. And now to security matters. The death toll from Tuesday's dawn terror attack on worshippers in Unguwan Mental community, Malumfashi local government area of Katsina State, has risen to 32. Initial reports had put the number of casualties at 13, but during a condolence visit on Wednesday, a state government delegation confirmed that 32 people lost their lives, with an unverified number of residents abducted. Governor Diko Umar Rada, currently on medical leave, directed the acting governor, Malam Farouk Jobe, to send a high-powered delegation to commiserate with the families of the victims. Describing the killings as heartbreaking, Jobe assured the community that the state government would intensify security operations to track down perpetrators. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. We're now going to be joining our correspondent, our lead correspondent here at News Central, Bernard Akede, who brings us insights from our town hall series that's happening today. Good morning, Bernard. We hear that the weather is really cold, that is given abroad. How many degrees did you wake up to today?
Good morning, Olive. I think today was a bit good. We woke up to either 19 or 20 degrees Celsius. As at the first day we arrived, the next day, Wednesday morning, woke up to I think 17. Wow. And then it changed to 18. Very strange. Very strange if you live in Lagos.
I mean, what's it's strange, right? But it's great weather. And what's unfortunate is that the people with such great weather have had to deal with the most unbearable conditions, and insecurity, weathering serious storms that they have to experience. And today we're gathered to give them an opportunity to air their voices. What should we expect to see today at the town hall?
All right, thank you, Olive. Truly, like you said, it's a region, not just the states now. The Middle Belt region is a place where we have really, really great conditions in terms of weather and climate, in terms of agriculture and greenery, in terms of, mountainous regions. So it's a place where we should be expecting to attract foreigners and foreign investment, just like Plateau State is called the home of peace and tourism. But like you also rightly mentioned, sadly, in the past few years, this particular region has been bedeviled, by several attacks. I would call them terror attacks, basically. There's been killings, there's been maimings, and all sorts of unthinkable things have been happening to the people of the Middle Belt region. Remember, New Central Town Hall has visited Plateau State sometime last year. A few months ago, we also visited Benue State and we're in Makurdi, the state capital. But now we're deciding to bring people who have had these sad experiences all together under one roof. Representatives from the different states of the Middle Belt region will be joining us here, to talk about the experiences they've had. Now, the interesting always do at News Central is we also try to bring government officials and decision and policy makers who would also occupy these seats that you're seeing around me, so they can hear firsthand from, as we say, the proverbial horse's mouth. Hear the experiences of these people, possibly even see some of them live who have been directly or indirectly affected, so that they can say one or two things. We're equally hoping that possibly there could be some, lasting solutions that we could gain from the voices and the words of the people who are here. So we're expecting to see people from the youth community, traditional leaders, religious leaders, of course, security operatives, government officials as well, and of course, as I mentioned earlier as well, people who have been directly or indirectly affected by these insecurities from the Middle Belt region.
Now, Bernard, the team arrived a few days ago, and I've seen that the team has also been holding meetings with different stakeholders. I believe you were also part of a new central entourage that visited the headquarters of the Operation Safe Haven at the 3rd Mechanized Division, and you also paid a visit to Plateau State Government House, where you interacted with the Deputy Governor. Could you tell us what are the feelers like as we inch towards this town hall? What's the interactions with all these security stakeholders and also the government of Plateau State? What has it been like? Are they cooperative? Are they excited about the town hall series?
Yes, Bigger, you're quite right. We paid the visit, first of all, courtesy call to General Officer Commanding 3 Division, Nigerian, who is equally the commander of Operation Safe Haven, Major General Folusho Oyilola. We equally paid the visit to the Plateau State Police Commissioner, Mr. Emmanuel Adeshino. And then finally, we were able to visit the Deputy Governor, who was representing the governor. That's talking about Mrs. Josephine Pio. Now, first of all, the security operatives we visited, talking about the police and the army, were excited to have us. And they clearly felt or feel that any collaboration between media and security architecture can only bring forth good results to the people of Plateau and the Middle Belt. There have been misconceptions, there have been wrong narratives and wrong stories. So the fact that we are here and that we're going to be having it live will be a chance for more collaboration between the people, the media, being the fourth estate of the realm, and of course, security operatives. Also, when we visited the police command here, the Commissioner of Police did also mention that the narrative being put out by the media will go a long way to aid, their success story. He also called on traditional leaders and religious leaders, but he heavily emphasized on information gathering and information, not just by security operatives, but of course from all and sundry, everybody who is affected in one way or the other. And then of course the Deputy Governor on her own part was quite excited that we have News Central here on ground, saying that they've been seeing the work that our correspondent here, Chisoba Anyonwe, has been doing. She's quite active in the state here in the Plateau. And that it will be good to have the rest of the crew live on ground here, while they will be able to listen, to the people firsthand. Now, our hope, of course, is that while they are excited and they are anticipating something good to happen here, we do hope that they would also take action when they hear firsthand some of the experiences that these people have had. Again, this time is no longer social media. We're going to see these people live, people who have been affected, like we've done in other town hall series that we've had in other places. So we hope that there will be proper interaction between the authorities, government officials, and the affected persons.
Great job, well done, I would say, for the team and everyone who's on ground there in Jos, Bernard Akede. We look forward to join you live, most importantly, to all our viewers so they can tune in. Can you share with us what time it starts and what capacity, lastly, are we looking at as we wrap up?
All right. The program, like we've been doing in the past, hopefully we will start live by 11 a.m. It's supposed to be a 2 hours plus program, but of course, sometimes you can't exactly tell the direction that these conversations will go towards, especially when it gets really heated and engaging. But at least 2 hours plus we would have, starting from 11 a.m. We'll be live on all our platforms, on DSTV, StarTimes, GoTV, and of course, all our social media platforms. So we expect that everybody who's watching should tune in. Concerning capacity, at least this hall where we are could fit up to 400 plus persons. Probably one of the largest crowds we've had. So I think the only one that has topped it would have been Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, that has gotten close to this. But we should be expecting at least 400 people to join us live in the hall, and then the millions that will be watching from across the globe.
Thank you so much, Bernard Okede, to you and the team, and happy deliberations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh, and Benga, we met an ex-colleague of yours at the Army Division who said to pass his greetings to you.
Thank you very much.
And said he hopes that you were going to join the Army.
Yeah, he's a colonel now. I've taken a different path. Yeah, we were members of the 41st Personnel Platoon of the Nigerian Military School, Zaria. Yeah.
Well, the only army that Benga can be a part of now is the Lord's Army. Yeah. Thank you very much, Bernard.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, away from Bernard, let's go straight to Auchi, where there seems to be a protest. It's continued. It started, it's 3 days, and it's still ongoing. It's a protest from the fallout of the Dangote truck that indeed had caused incessant accidents involving 3 lives that were equally lost. We do have our correspondent who joins us now as well. Amenze Bazwai joins us right away. Thanks for joining us. We can see you are at, is that the spot, or better still, can you share with us what's happening?
All right, currently I am at Ura Specialist just in front of the gate. I was at Auchi yesterday where I engaged with the protesters who have actually said they will continue to protest, they will continue to be on the street until the federal government, until the Bill state government, and of course until the Dangote group comes out and of course addresses their demands. The demands are ranging from safer roads to better road infrastructure. They're calling on the federal government to see how they can dualize the roads, of course to reduce the rate at which these accidents occur. Yesterday we had, of course, the Edo State government promptly coming here to Auchi, and of course to Ira Specialist Teaching Hospital, where one of the victims is actually hospitalized here. She's been there for about 11 months, quite abandoned. She's paralyzed, having to breathe with assistance as well. And her bills were running into 5 million naira. So the Edo State government came here, of course represented by the Commissioner of Education, Paddy Yamu. He came here and of course they announced that the Edo State government would take charge of that bill, clear the bills, and of course assist in ensuring that the operation that she needs to be able to get back on her feet is actually done. The protesters are actually excited about that, but we're saying beyond that, beyond actually clearing the bills, beyond compensating victims, there needs to be a stop to these incessant truck accidents that actually happen, especially along the Auchi Benin Road. Most of them are saying if these demands are not met, they will remain there until that demand is actually met.
Wow. We also are aware that during this protest, it was also led by social media influencer, Very Dark Man. And then in the course of the protest, we did hear that students equally joined the protest. Can you confirm to us that there were students who equally joined the protest? And what's also the response from Dangote itself? Any response?
All right, yeah, like you rightly said, we had students of the Auchi Polytechnic actually coming out to protest. We had community residents, the local residents in Auchi coming out. Of course, majorly it was our social media activists talking about Very Dark Man leading the pack. They actually blocked a lot of Dangote trucks from entering into Auchi. They didn't let them fly. We have over 15 trucks actually parked by the roadside. Basically just trying to call on Dangote Group to actually come to the scene if possible, or at least give a statement. The statement that Dangote has actually brought out for now was the one that had to do with the first incident which happened on August 12th, where we had one Ruth Otabo, the sister of one of the reality star winners, talking about Sina. She was the first person that was involved in this accident within this month of August that actually sparked off this protest. So after that particular incident took place, they came out, issued a statement and said compensation will be given to the family of that young lady. Then a few days later, about 5 days later, 3 lives were lost in a similar accident. Just yesterday, we heard another story about one accident also happening, but that one, fortunately, no life was lost. But for now, the Dangote Group hasn't released any statement concerning this issue. And that's why the protesters are still agitated. That's why they're still calling on them, especially as regards their truck drivers, to ensure that they are better trained so that they can fly the roads without actually causing more damage than what they've already done.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, and we'll follow up and follow through with you again. Hopefully, every single thing will be resolved. Thanks for your time and thanks for the update. We'll go to a quick break. When we come back, we do have our in-house front page analysis, and not forgetting to our analyst is just around the corner. We'll be going straight to the newspaper front pages after this break. Stay with us.
Begin this newspaper reviews this morning with the head strategy and public affairs of Nairametrics, Wade Ahimie. Good morning, Wade. Good to have you.
Good morning, Olive. Good morning, Joe.
Thanks.
Good morning, Benga. You were not here last time. Great to be here.
Yeah.
Great to have you here. Let's go to the Guardian newspaper and start with the big story, and I'll have you speak on that. Road tax scheme stalls after delivering 2.6 trillion naira projects. You can see here there's a picture that says Nigeria's road tax credit scheme with 2.6 trillion naira plus already spent. Over 3 trillion naira worth of projects remain stalled. You can see the approvals here, the bodies involved. But let's start with it. Let's have you speak to it.
So this was a scheme that was put together by the former president in 2019.
All right. In 2019?
In 2019, when he signed an executive order so that corporate organizations could work with the government towards providing, whether it was road maintenance or building new roads and construction, in favor of them getting some tax credit. The scheme started thereabouts, and then with COVID, a number of things came in. So what then happened was.
Yeah. Okay. So the scheme.
So what then happened was over the last 8 years.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Over the last 8 years.
Okay. Let me even just before you go ahead with that, let me just look at here. You can see the Dangote Group, there's 331 billion naira portion to Dangote Group, BUA Group 415 billion naira approvals, NNPC we can see 1.7 trillion naira disbursed within 16 months, and other participants we can see NLNG, MTN, Access Bank, GZI Industries. We can also see here the number of roads listed under that scheme. There's 5,075.4 kilometer plus of roads listed under that scheme. And now we're hearing that Nigeria needs $120 billion to rehabilitate the federal road network. Interesting. All right. So do you want to still pick up from that, or would you like us to go to another one?
Okay, so let me try and run through that.
Okay.
So the government was going to agree with some companies to fund road construction, either new roads or rehabilitate them, and they were all in different parts of the country. And you've mentioned some of these companies. The expectation was 3 trillion naira spend in terms of road construction or rehabilitation every year over a 10-year period. But what has happened over the last 7-8 years is about 2.7 or 2.6 trillion has been spent so far. We haven't even we've done maybe just about 50%. The quality of roads, complaints have been here and there about the quality, community issues with those who are providing that service. NNPC was the biggest beneficiary, and earlier this year they withdrew from that. Why? Because they said the PIA doesn't allow them to do that, and they had to face their core businesses. Now, my challenge with that, and when I went through the story, was quite interesting. It was an executive order. You agree with companies to fund road construction. You agreed the different parts of the country, but there was really no proper framework of how do you do that? How much tax credit were you going to get at every point in time? You just said, oh, let's go ahead and do this. Right. They've spent about 2.7 trillion, about 2.6 trillion. What was meant to be about 3 trillion spent every year, we've only spent 2.7 trillion. About 3 trillion of the roads that currently have been spent on are not done. So you already have that gap. You get? So what was the framework? And these are the complaints by many of the analysts who looked at it. What's the framework? One, what's the tax credit system that you're going to take back? It was based on the cost, and then you take that out from tax payments to government. In my own opinion, what I think government should always do when you have this kind of things is it should be clear. Are you with me? So if I spend 2 trillion, and over how many years do I take that tax credit? Nobody says anything. This is 8 years down the line, 10-year program, and we've not even completed the first part of 5,074 kilometers of road. We've only spent 2.7 trillion. We require another 3 trillion to complete the ones that have just been done up to a point. And there are complaints, poor work, poor supervision, community issues, because even when you're doing these things, what did you sit everybody down? The Ministry of Works, the state governments are complaining that it's only about they're using federation money to fix only the federal roads. What about the state roads? So and these are the things that we always talk about when we analyze all these issues about government going into business, not going into transactions with the private sector. I have no problems with that, but there must be clear frameworks. There must be clear deliverables. There must be clear contractual agreements. But nobody seems to know. NNPC is the biggest spender among. They spend close to 60 or 70% of the money that have been spent from their tax credit. And that's why NNPC will come back to the federal government and say, oh, all the tax that we're supposed to pay to you, there's nothing. If you used it to rehabilitate roads that have not been completed, and they say the jobs are shoddy, then we have a major problem. And these are the challenges that we continue to face. Although the minister has said, oh, the president says there should be a review and look for alternative ways of financing. Now you're going to go back and say, oh, maybe we'll try the PPP, that's the public-private partnership route. But what has happened to all the monies and the so-called tax that has been claimed back by these organizations? The cost itself, are they justified?
All right. Okay, I'm trying to see if we can lump in as much conversation as we can within the limited time that we have. Still on the front page, I want you to speak about the TCAD 9 unmanned boot saga. It's become an issue. Presidency, look at how it's reported. They said presidency downplays outrage as Tinubu demands UN reform. So let's talk about the outrage. Do you think that it was much ado about nothing?
Well, I do believe that Nigeria does require high levels of investment. That's my belief. However, with the happenings in the country, sometimes I wonder why those are of priority. One, yesterday, over the last 48 hours, about 57 people have been killed in Katsina. One, security issues. So you go to Japan and you sit down in these meetings and we talk and you say, oh, investments are going to come and so on. A country that doesn't have the right security architecture and the right security apparatus, and people, even the Nigerians themselves that are going to work for all these companies, for all these investors that bring in their money, are not safe to go to work, then there is a problem. Are they going to bring in those investments? So that's why there's this outrage that you carry a large number of government officials, monies that are not very available. We're complaining that Nigerians should tighten their belt. It's also in the news that you want to increase the salaries of the executive and the legislature, the executive arm of government, that the president earns only 1.5 million monthly. Ministers earn less than 1 million. And if you don't increase that salary, but Nigerians are tightening their belt. Minimum wage is 70,000. They can't even buy half a bag of rice and beans to feed themselves. And then we go on all these tirades of saying, oh, well, it's to seek investment. Close to the trips that the president has gone, I don't know what the cost has come to, are you with me? But it's in billions of naira. But how much in comparison have we really received in terms of investments into the country? 2 weeks ago, we were reading in the dailies, and Punch to be specific, over almost £1 trillion of investments have been moved out from the capital market. And these are questions that we're asking ourselves. Is it that investors are just playing short time and, they were playing a lot around the treasury bills, short term, make money, move on, and so on? And is that the kind of short-termism that we want to play out? And this is what I see. So we've gone to Japan again, and we're saying, we're going to seek investment for Japan. I was speaking to someone a couple of days ago. Japan extended, I think, $120 million in terms of loans to us, specifically towards building sustainability or sustainable infrastructure, solar and things like that. And at the end of the day, what happens? They just couldn't lay down what exactly that money was going to be used for. And that was where the issues came in terms of the final disbursement.
And also on the front page, just quickly for basketball lovers, the Tigers.
I was trying not to
unfortunately,
that story because
very sad story. They lost.
Why?
They lost to Senegal. But I mean, look at the flip side of it. Yeah, was in the Tigers.
The Tigers.
The Tigers, yes. Yeah. They lost to Senegal, so they are out of the Afro-Basket tourney. Very sad and depressing news. But the good news is we save ourselves $100,000 for each player.
I can imagine somebody in the president.
Well, the Tigers haven't really been fantastic, so...
No, I can imagine somebody in the presidency jumping at no more
save money.
What is good for the...
Because if Tigers had won, what is good for Tigers
is good for the
Tigers. Anyway, let's move to our next paper. There's so many stories, but let's quickly see how many we can take. On the Vanguard newspaper, you have spoken to the anger over planned pay rise for political office holders by RMAFC. Reps on 11 disclosed about 2.6 trillion naira debt owed federal government. Let's talk about the assault on NYC member. Governor Soludo has sacked the vigilante operatives involved. So they're members of the Agune Chamber. We saw the video of how they beat this girl, stripped her naked, something that happened on 23rd of July. It hit social media 2 days ago, went viral, and now they've acted. What does this tell you? And what I'm asking is because I'm a bit concerned about why it took social media
to get the attention of the government. Yesterday, Joe mentioned the NYC and how the NYC was very quick to jump and criticize Rai publicly. But now one of theirs was assaulted and treated like a hardened criminal. Even a hardened criminal does not deserve to be treated like this. Now they
have rights. Yeah. One of the things that over years has become the norm in Nigeria is people wanting to be in uniforms and believing that once I'm in uniform, I'm superior to the next person who is not wearing a uniform. And these are the things that are happening. And I have no problem with you trying to deal with security situations, but there should be rules and regulations. There should be proper procedures and processes in terms of when you are trying to find out things about, who are you, where are you from, show me some form of identification. You don't just judge and conclude, but sometimes you really can't blame them. Why? Because when you look at the national security system itself, it's the same manner and ways. And in my own opinion, it's because of so many years of...
It's a hangover of military.
Yes, it's a hangover of military rule. So everybody just believes that once I'm in uniform...
Might is right.
Yes, I'm the one. If I say, you don't say anything, and it's wrong. Well, now what the governor has done, he has sacked this just sacked the whole vigilante system.
No, just those who were...
those who were there. So is it just sacking them? Are you going to...
No, he said the police should prosecute them.
Are you going to take them through due process? And they need to be transparent about it. So it's not just say, the police will prosecute them. We've heard so many times the police will prosecute, and at the end of the day, you never get to court. You don't even see the charge sheet, not to talk about, hearing from a judge. So I think he should follow up on this. If it's not him, a member of his team who would make sure that this is done and find out the truth about it, And if there were other things that happened, you can also say, maybe because it's on social media, I don't always say because it's on social media doesn't mean something didn't happen. Let's find out the root cause of it.
Do you think if the video did not make its way to social media, do you think the governor would have done it?
No, I don't think anything would have happened. It's just another, it would have just been another incident of a youth copper was beaten, and then some people will say it and they say, what did she do? She must have done something wrong. They can be rude, they can be that. But that's it. But now that
Thanks
it
to
was
the
on
power
social media.
of
Social
camera
media.
and social media.
Absolutely.
That's the power of vision, yeah. I agree with you.
Okay, let's quickly run to the Punch newspaper and take this big story. 2027 showdown. Wike Makinde rift threatens high-stakes PDP convention. PDP vows tough action as Wike and associates move against convention. NEC members kick.
There were bodies in the
What
G5.
happened?
Exactly. What
That
happened?
allowed these two people who were once friends and allies now become on the opposite sides of the divide. Reminds me of a Yoruba adage that says, Ogun adiye, on the shirefo ogun odun. Did I say that correctly?
Fantastic. Why didn't you drop your video for Ishesha Day yesterday? News Central was compiling Yoruba proverbs. And I wish they came to me because I just a distraction from newspaper headlines. Things are too serious. Wow, anyway, impressive. I have to drop my own.
You will drop your own. Let me tell you why I use that program.
When you guys are done, let me know.
Why I use that program is to Makinde. Why? Because Wike's angst is this. They have had a Congress and officials have been nominated. In line with the rules of the PDP, it should have been held in the South, and it was held in Calabar. So any other thing that they want to do outside of that, to nominate or to appoint or to elect any other person, then he's ready for the showdown. That's the long and short of it. And of course, yes, allies, and that's politics.
But will it threaten
life.
the convention? The success of the convention is at stake with this rift going on.
Oh yes, it could be at stake because and trusting Wike, the first thing is to go to court. And that's where he usually starts from with all these things. Before he first goes to court and gets a court order. And yes, he would probably threaten it because he says that the convention has been held in Calabar, that the vice chairman of the South, who I can't remember his name, just reading through the article, that the chairman or the so-called chairman of the Southeast has been suspended from the PDP, so he doesn't understand why he's part of the people who are signing. So these are, is the typical PDP way. You don't follow, when you follow the rules, you follow the rules, they say no. You don't follow the rules, they say no. So
we thought that with the exit of former Vice President Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, peace would have returned to the PDP.
Well, the peace will not come to PDP until Wike wants to be in total control of the PDP. And the reasons, I don't know his reasons, but in my own opinion, I think it's because of the way he is now. He's what's it called? His head is resting on one bed, and his leg is lying on another. I don't know how you want to call it.
Affair. However, there's also rumors, which of course have proven to be true, that the governor is also looking
to become presidential nomination for the PDP. So he wants to bring it closer.
I mean, we've had people on this show throw their support behind him. When we had, I've forgotten his name now. From the PDP chieftain here, talk about him pushing him forward. I want to quickly touch on this, if we can. Royal Rumble. Alafin may publish Supreme Court ruling after 48-hour ultimatum. I don't know if you've been following this story. So the Alafin had the Oni of Ife. Alafin only gives someone a chieftaincy title, a Yoruba-wide chieftaincy title. Alafin says it's not within your power to give them.
You can give title in Ile-Ife and Modareke.
Alafin. So the Alafin now says you can't do that. There's a court ruling that says that the Alafin is the only one that has the power to give Yoruba chieftaincy titles.
So Yoruba wide.
So now, in response to this, his representative says we can't answer him. Like he refused to answer. I said we can't dignify the undignifiable.
I mean that's terrible.
And they gave him 48 hours. 48 hours ultimatum. Now,
what's your take on this Royal Rumble?
Well, I'm trying to see if I can juggle my head for the history of what's it called, but nothing seems to come to me. Maybe next week I will do a better research.
Let me ask a question.
I will come out and say who is senior, who
should they go to court.
I mean,
who's going to be the judge?
They are bound by the constitutions of Nigeria.
What judge would handle the case.
So it will be so because
it's just a rhetorical question.
But the truth of it is it will go to the state high court.
And are they going to address the judge as
Your Honor?
My lord?
No, Your Honor.
King.
Your Honor.
Is there representatives that will even go to court?
And is there lawyers that will go to court?
For all those who are wondering, you've gotten your answers.
Yeah. But I will try and find out.
That's an interesting one.
I think they should also look at alternative dispute resolution.
That's the best.
It's not. It doesn't augur well for traditional rulers of that class to be, fighting on pages of social media and going to court. They should talk it over a bottle of schnapps.
Well, if you also remember that the king doesn't dance naked in the market. But I can't remember the last time that you had a king that doesn't really dance naked in the market in Nigeria.
There was a king that engaged in fisticuff with one of his
chiefs. No, so that's what I'm saying. In the last... So when you look at it, aside from some of the old monarchs that are passing on, in the last 20, 25 years, I can barely count on my fingertips the number of kings that don't dance naked in the market square.
That still hold the institution to high authority.
That don't dance naked in the market square. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, let's look at one last story before we go. Recapitalization.
Yes, I am.
Recapitalization.
I'll tell you about
Banks
that later.
to gain extra 900 billion naira in 2025.
To gain 900 billion naira?
Yes. On the front page of the Punch. Recapitalization, banks to gain extra 900 billion naira capital in 2025. That's one story that we could look at. And then this one, NBA report, Adeleke demands federal government unblock Osun's allocation.
Local government allocations.
Local government allocations.
Yes.
Well, on the front page of the Punch,
it's the local
government.
Yeah, it says they should unblock it. And then again, 179 ASPs disqualified as police promotes 952 officers.
Well, so let me start with the police quickly. They usually go through an exam.
Just take only that. Go on.
They usually go through an exam, so I guess they would have been disqualified if they didn't pass those exams. That I can't say. So you don't move to the next rank without going through some exams.
Do you understand the sort of things they will be testing for in these exams? Because we often think promotion is automatic with the years you spend in service.
No, not in the civil service. There are some, I don't have the clear details, but there are exams that you write in the civil service for you to get promoted. It's not just about, it's not just about the number of years you spend. So you find out that some people enter the force at the same time. Some will move faster because they are fast, they are sharper, they've shown more dexterity and they've passed their exams faster. Some will take 2 times to pass the exams, And then if by the last time you don't pass it, there are some requirements in the civil service codes that apply. Whether they apply them fully, yes, I don't know, but I know that those things are done on a regular basis. The other one was, I can't speak to that 900 billion because I don't have the details.
Yeah.
And I need to be honest with you, so I have to find out what those details are. I really don't have those details off the top of my head.
Okay, this is where we wrap up today's newspaper review and today's show. Thank you very much for joining us. In response to the question that you asked me, if I am from a royal family, as a matter of fact, I am from a royal family. I am a princess in my kingdom.
Okay.
Why? My father is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords.
Okay, thank you for that. And in the spirit of Visheshe Day that was celebrated yesterday, you guys refused to let me say my proverb. I want to say it now.
Please say your proverb.
I don't have the direct translation in Yoruba, so I'm going to say it in English. You can translate. No matter how much of press up a lizard does, the crocodile is still his father. That's all. Goodbye.
Then a final proverb. No matter how much you vex, your anger no fit grind beans.
You are a wise one.
Thank you.
Joe, thanks for coming, right?
Thank you for having me.
No problem.
Joe is the matured one on the show.
Thanks for watching.
Mr. Maturity.
Maturity,
thank you so much. Thank you.
See you tomorrow, guys.